What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another amazing Naruto story. What if Naruto son of Gaia? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. Dripping. Dripping was the sound echoing in the room as a young boy with golden blonde hair, cerulean blue eyes, and fairly tanned skin heard as he woke up. This boy was Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto sat up and the flashbacks of events prior to this event played in his head. 49 words in and already doing a flashback. Naruto was running. He moved as fast as his 3-year-old body could carry him, sending him flying away from the horde of people chasing him. He was pinned against the wall of an alleyway, scared out of his wits. He then got a daring idea. He dashed in between the villagers. Since he was small, he could avoid their pummeling. A man tried to throw a bottle at Naruto, but Naruto saw a random Anbu did this one time, so he focused really hard and found himself in the spot where a rock originally was. It worked, he thought excitedly. He kept running though, as he didn't want the villagers catching up to him. He found a gated-off area labeled, Training Grounds 44, Forest of Death, Beware, and decided to go in, as it looked as if no villager would dare look for him in there. He found an abandoned giant nest and settled in there. He looked around and settled down, and he felt unconsciousness grab him, the yell of the villagers barely audible. Flashback end. Naruto heard faint breaths and saw the obviously giant jail bars in the direction of the breathing. He found a beautiful woman with a knee-length crimson-orange dress panting slightly. Naruto smelled the spring air, it's spring right now, and looked around. The landscape looked like an abandoned sewer, but Naruto got a gut feeling it was his mindscape. So he focused and he was right, the terrain changed into an empty grass field. He noticed the woman, now instead of being in a cage, was leashed to a tree by a dog collar. Naruto felt bad and went to help her when the woman suddenly transformed into a giant fox, bound to the tree, which had grown larger to accommodate for the increase in size. "Hello petty human," a deep voice rumbled as the fox opened its mouth. "Hi," Naruto yelled upwards, hoping the fox could hear him. "Brat, I can hear you just fine even though you're short," the fox scoffed. "Are you the Kyuubi no Kitsune?" Naruto asked. "I have gone by many names. But yes, I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Gaki," the giant fox said. She was humoring the small child, as he didn't run in fear or call her a demon yet. "Why did you look like a woman earlier?" Naruto asked, curiously. The fox let out a soft chuckle, as she knew Naruto hadn't learned about the birds and the bees yet. Whatever, who cares about that? Can we be friends? What's your name?" Naruto asked. His 3-year-old face morphed into a cute little smiling face, filled with hope in making a friend. The Kyuubi let out a growl. "No fair, I never was able to resist the faces of children." She whined to herself. Even if she was the great Kyuubi no Kitsune, she was still female, so she still liked adorable little things. "Fine, we can be friends. And my name is Kurama." "Thank you human. No one has cared enough to ask me my name in many millennia," Kurama said, now in her human form. She gave Naruto a smile before she felt a presence come in. A man appeared floating in the air. Wisps of smoke curled off of the knees of his pants. He had 2 horns, as well as 2 purple eyes, each had several rings away from the pupils. He spoke in a wise voice. "Hello, young Naruto," the man said. Naruto observed him for a bit before a name was randomly sent to his head. "Sage of 6 Paths?" Naruto asked. The man with the purple eyes and grayish skin nodded. He then snapped his fingers. Naruto found himself in a room with all 9 Biju, or at least small parts of them, in human form. He turned towards the first person, who was a sand blonde-haired chick with a big ass. She also had 2 ponytails. Turning, he saw a blue-haired girl with cute little cat ears and a black and blue tie-dye shirt, which had a decent-sized bump where her tits would be. Turning even farther, he saw a man with gray and red hair, a few freckles, and a small smile on his face. Naruto then realized nobody here looked older than 25. Next, he turned to the 4th guy, who was moderately hairy and had bright red hair, as well as a small mustache. Then, he turned to the next girl, who had 5 tails swirling behind her. She also had snow-white hair that went over her shoulders, ending at her boobs, which were easily larger than the blue-haired girl. He then looked at the 6th guy, who looked like your average shy nerd from school. He had a pleasant light green hair color with piercingly light purple eyes. which was different from the other tailed beast's darker yellow eyes and Matabi's other green eye. All were about 6 feet 3 when the sixth guy was only about 5 feet 10. The seventh guy had a darker shade of green hair and piercingly orange eyes. He also stood at about 6 feet 4. The eighth was a tad stranger, as he was just a stronger version of the fourth guy with coal gray hair instead of red. He turned again to face Kurama. "Why are we here and in these forms?" Shukaku asked, but in a more feminine voice. "Hello, my children," the man with gray skin and Rinnegan eyes, as Naruto recalled they were called, spoke. "Old Man Hagoromo," number 8 said. That's when Kurama whipped one of her tails onto the floor. "Alright everyone, we got a new boy here. My Jinchuriki, little Uzumaki. Now, say your names," the first girl smirked. "Hi, I'm Shukaku, but call me Shukaku," she said, her voice sounded calming, like the night desert winds. "Hello, I am Matabi," the second girl with the tie-dye spoke. "I'm Isobu," the third dude said, his voice sounding like a river, connecting together smoothly. The fourth dude spoke, "Hello. I am Son Goku, the monkey prince of all apes." He spoke proudly. His voice sounded like erupting magma. "Hello, I'm Kakuo," the girl with white hair spoke softly. "I be called Saiken," the nerdy-looking one said. "I'm Chome," the seventh guy said, seemingly buzzing with excitement. "I am Yuki," the eighth guy said, his voice sounding like a waterfall pounding into the ground. Naruto smiled. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, remember it," he proclaimed proudly. The other tailed beasts smiled at his purity. "Anyways," Hagoromo yelled, "we're here so I can tell you. I've chosen this boy to be the new sage of 6 paths," Hagoromo said. "What?" Naruto yelled out in surprise. Hagoromo smiled. "Yes, my boy, you will be the new sage of 6 paths," he said, smiling gently. He then held up his hand, and all of the tailed beasts touched it, adding a tiny amount of chakra to the fist, signifying they were okay with it. Hagoromo then touched Naruto's eyelids and left palm, giving him both the light seal and the Rinnegan. These eyes are the Rinnegan young one. You may use gravity, have all elemental affinities and sub-affinities, as well as the ability to create rods out of chakra that can even break steel and disrupt the flow of chakra in a person if it's in them, making them paralyzed and unable to use jutsu. Finally, you can use these eyes as a replacement jutsu type of thing, except it's a time-space thing with no limitations, meaning you can even teleport cross-dimension if you know what an item in the other dimension looks like, Hagoromo finished. "Now, since you are 3, I will train you for 1 year, and then, you begin the academy," Hagoromo said. Little did Naruto know, this would be the hardest year of his child life. Wake. Naruto slowly gained consciousness in the bird's nest, and he heard a yell, "Hey Gaki. What are you doing here?" Anko Pav. Anko was coming back to check on the Forest of Death, which people like to call her House of Horrors and Monsters, and she noticed a kid sleeping in an abandoned nest. "Hey, Gaki, what are you doing here?" she called out. She noticed the boy slowly raise his head and look in her direction. Anko took in a sharp breath. The fourth's kid, she thought to herself, surprised. She noticed his piercing and pretty cerulean blue eyes stare at her. He gave off a cute little yawn. Anko, as much as she said she couldn't be tricked by cute things, felt a strange urge to smother Naruto in her embrace and never let go. And that's exactly what she did. "You're so adorable," she squealed out. Naruto just hugged back. That's when Anko decided to take Naruto to her house. Naruto looked around at the house the nice lady brought him to. "Go ahead and explore, Gaki. I'm just going to make some food," Anko told Naruto. Naruto nodded and looked at the first room, which was going to be his bedroom according to Anko. It had a white queen-size bed with 2 white pillows. A queen-sized 4-poster bed. In Anko's room was the same bed but in red and purple. Naruto went back to his room and Anko walked in almost immediately after. "Hey Gaki, I'm Anko Mitarashi. What's your name?" she asked. Naruto was hesitant at first. Naruto Uzumaki. I'll be the greatest Hokage ever too." Naruto stuttered, saying the last part confidently. Anko smiled. "I like you, Gaki," Anko said, giving Naruto a noogie. "So you want to become Hokage, right? Wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to train you," Anko said, smiling. The next day, Naruto was training all night in his mindscape, learning how to use the Rinnegan and Sharingan. His Rinnegan was special, as it also had the ability to create a duplicate of himself that only special sensory ninjas can detect, and the fact he was able to deactivate and reactivate it made him even more powerful. Naruto was only learning how to use the tailed beast and Kekkei Genkai abilities. Anko and Naruto were walking to Training Ground 7 and Anko had Naruto meditate. "Why am I meditating, Anko-sensei?" Naruto asked. "Well, Gaki, you need to unlock your chakra," Anko said. Naruto nodded even though he already unlocked it. So he released it in a way that it was so dense it broke the floor. With the Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi was fighting his worst enemy, paperwork. He was currently looking over the terms for an alliance with the Sand Village when he felt a giant spike in chakra. "What is this?" he asked himself. He then got up from his chair and went out to go check it. Back with Naruto, Anko had put up about 10 earth walls already. Just how much chakra does this brat have? Anko wondered. His chakra was so dense it was destroying the earth walls. "Gaki, pull in your chakra," Anko yelled out to him. Naruto looked up and nodded. He took a deep breath and all of the chakra he released stopped flaring. "Well, Gaki, this is going to attract the attention of quite a few people," Anko said. Just then, her boss, Ibiki Morino, the Ino Shikacho, the Hokage, and Kakashi Hitaki all appeared where the two were. "What happened here?" Shikaku asked. "I released my chakra," Naruto said excitedly with a proud grin. Hiruzen let out a chuckle. "It appears we have nothing to worry about then," he said. Ibiki looked at the two. "Anko, what are you doing here?" he asked. "Teaching this Gaki how to use chakra," she said. Ibiki nodded and left. Everyone else turned and left. "That was eventful," Anko told Naruto, who nodded. "Well, Gaki, since your reserves are too big, how about I let you use this?" Anko said. Naruto watched as Anko put both hands together in a plus symbol and several clones appeared. Naruto looked at them confused. These are special solid clones for people who have large reserves because they can't fine-tune their chakra enough to push out a basic clone, Anko told Naruto. "Create as many clones as you can." Naruto nodded and did what Anko told him. Over 1,000 clones appeared and each Naruto had enough chakra to rival Anko's 3 clones. Anko smirked. "Okay, Gaki, separate your clones into groups. I want 20 to work on tree walking. But before I tell you what the others are for, channel your chakra into this paper," Anko said, handing it to Naruto. "What is it?" he asked curiously. "This is chakra paper. It reacts based on how easily your chakra can turn into a certain element. If it lights on fire, you have a fire affinity. If it splits or if it shreds, you have a wind affinity. If it wrinkles, you have a lightning affinity. If it crumbles to dust, you have an earth affinity. And if it becomes wet and soggy, you have a water affinity," Anko said. Naruto nodded. He channeled his chakra into the paper. It split into 6. One piece crumbled to dust, one piece lit on fire before burning to ashes, one piece wrinkled, one piece got soaked, one piece turned into a pitch black color, and one piece changed from the yellowish white it was to a pure white. Anko looked really impressed. "Wow, Gaki, you have every affinity, as well as yin and yang affinities, which is unheard of," Anko said. Naruto got stars in his eyes. "I can do like every jutsu," he said excitedly. But suddenly, something unexpected happened. Naruto held up all 5 fingers and each finger lit up with a specific element. When Naruto closed his fist, he had a ball of earth in his hands, with all the other elements floating and crackling around it. "Wow, brat, you made a jutsu already," Anko said, genuinely surprised and impressed. "Test it on the wooden post," she told him. Naruto nodded and smashed it into the post, causing the post to get slightly damaged. Naruto collapsed, panting. He already didn't have a lot of chakra left in him. "Interesting brat," she said to herself. She heard an ear-splitting poof sound and noticed all the clones were gone. She picked up the cute little asleep Naruto and brought him home. Naruto was unconscious in his mind, having collapsed from exhaustion. He awakened and saw the Sage of 6 Paths. "Hello Naruto," the old sage said. "Hi Super Gramps," Naruto yelled out, causing Hagoromo to chuckle. "I am going to train you with your Sharingan, as the Rinnegan I have already taught you yesterday," Hagoromo said. Naruto got a tick mark on his head. He had gotten the information shoved into his brain and he had to take it from his head and learn it. "Book," Naruto said. A blue binder appeared with info cards in different sleeves for cards. To any of those who get the reference, good for you. You might even get this chapter dedicated to you. Naruto looked for the right info page and saw the Sharingan was empty. Naruto just stared at it blankly. "Ah shit, here we go again," Naruto said. Hagoromo and Naruto started playing a game of tag, where Naruto ran so he wouldn't get knowledge shoved into his head. Hagoromo just sighed after a bit. "Almighty pull," he said. Naruto tried resisting with his own Rinnegan but was still touched by Hagoromo. Naruto was suddenly a genius with it. "Naruto, my boy, I will do something to you that I would never do, but it must be done so you can become stronger," Hagoromo said. Naruto nodded. "I understand, Mr. Gramps. I'm ready now," Naruto said. Hagoromo then put Naruto in a genjutsu where he killed Anko repeatedly. It was only a second for Hagoromo, but not one for Naruto. Naruto shot up, "Anko-sensei." He yelled in his mindscape. He snapped his head to Hagoromo. "Ems, go with it please," activated and glaring at Hagoromo. Naruto shook his head and decided to let it go, understanding it was for the sake of unlocking the next stage of the Sharingan. For some reason though, Naruto's Sharingan had 3 abilities. Kamui, which is an alternate dimension that the Sharingan can either transport people to or from the dimension, as well as other items or even jutsu, Amaterasu, which is a hellfire that's unextinguishable, and finally, Kekkei Copy, which gave Naruto information on how to use bloodlines. He tested it and found he could use a secret bloodline of the Haruno clan, called Cherry Blossom Jutsu, which gave the user powerful things in not just the form of weapons, but defenses and jutsus. Then Kurama gave him a nice suggestion. "Naruto," Kurama said one day in her human form, "why not turn this into a house? Since all of us have been roaming this field for a while. Plus, we might get to live normal human lives," she said. Naruto let out a chuckle. "Fine, but first, shrink to your actual human size," Naruto said. Kurama nodded and the others also shrunk, going 7 inches shorter than before, except for Saiken, who went 4 inches shorter. The other guys went 5 inches shorter. Naruto saw this and nodded. He put his hands together in a meditating way and sat down, completely still. What Hagoromo saw shook him to his very core. He watched Naruto draw a nature chakra as he made the house. When Naruto opened his eyes, he realized Naruto was the perfect sage. His Rinnegan eye merely changed into a yellowish-orange color. Even then the rings were the only thing that changed color. Naruto opened his eyes and Hagoromo gasped. Naruto's bloodlines were so powerful his eyes stayed the same color, and his body was made so he could use the space-time teleportation without drawbacks. Naruto created a large backyard with a training post. He focused his chakra into his hand. "So I have a shadow release thanks to the Rinnegan," Naruto said to himself. He watched as a sword made from shadows appeared in his hand. "Very good, Naruto," Hagoromo said, surprising Naruto. "This sword is both stronger than steel and unbreakable. So you can cut through steel with ease," he said. Naruto nodded and continued striking the post, which was made out of chakra. The Biju were all on lawn chairs watching Naruto practice with the shadow sword. Every hit he landed, they felt a small gust reach them while Hagoromo was giving off a slightly weaker wind to counter Naruto's to prevent the gusts from his strikes to destroy everything around him. Then the group felt something. They saw Naruto hold up his hand and saw the shadow energy condensing in his palm. Then they saw him condense it further and turn it into a sphere. Naruto made sure he wasn't facing the group before ramming it into the training post. The tailed beasts were shocked. Naruto destroyed pure chakra. Hagoromo then decided to jump down. "Naruto," he said. Naruto looked up. "You must never use that jutsu unless it requires the utmost desperate circumstances." Naruto tilted his head. "But why?" he asked. Hagoromo sighed. "Look, boy, this jutsu you made destroys chakra. And there's only a limited amount of it. More can be made, but only specific sages can absorb it. You're lucky this is your mindscape, otherwise the world would have actually lost chakra," Hagoromo said. Naruto nodded. "So if I use this on someone I essentially disintegrate their entire being, right? I make them useless because nothing can make chakra from them," Naruto said. Hagoromo nodded. "Correct," he said. Naruto went back to the post to continue practicing his katas. Naruto was thinking about the real world as he practiced his swinging motions and combination attacks. He remembered how even without the Sharingan, he was able to read the flaws in the academy-style taijutsu and create his own taijutsu to fight one of the upperclassmen named Neji. Flashback. Naruto Uzumaki, you're to go against Neji Hyuga, Iruka called out. Everyone was laughing at Naruto since this was the first time they did genjutsu that month. All the previous Naruto didn't have training from Anko or the Sage of Six Paths or any form of decent analysis. But when Neji charged at Naruto, he remembered hearing about the Hyuga's perfect 360 vision and realized that the Byakugan, which is the Hyuga dojutsu, had a blind spot, since nothing could have perfection without sacrifice and the Hyugas were strong with decent reserves. Naruto saw Neji coming and sidestepped, before watching Neji's arm sail above his head when he ducked. He then pivoted to get behind Neji, causing Neji to try and rotate, but it was too late. Naruto got behind Neji and elbowed him right where Neji couldn't see it, causing him to go flying out of the ring. All of the students and even the teachers were shocked. The genin of the year and the Hyuga prodigy was easily flattened by the demon brat. Naruto simply pulled up Neji from where he knocked him out and the two shook hands, before walking back to their respective areas. End of flashback. Naruto was still smirking at the people in awe at how good he got seemingly overnight. It was then he remembered he had to go to the academy tomorrow and he left his mindscape to go out to the kitchen, where he bought and made steak and broccolini for himself and Anko as a thank you gift and even bought the ingredients himself. When Anko walked out, she was surprised Naruto made food for her and ruffled Naruto's hair. "You're not bad, Naruto," Anko said. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha. Iruka yelled. The fangirls were yelled out for Sasuke to beat Naruto to the floor and show him that the demon was beneath him, except for Ino and Hinata, who both didn't cheer. Hinata because she was shy and Ino because she realized Sasuke was a douchebag. Naruto and Sasuke got to the ring. Sasuke got into the Uchiha-style interceptor fist taijutsu. Naruto got into his taijutsu, which he called the Kitsune Maelstrom style. Hajime, Iruka called. The two looked at each other for a bit, before they rushed each other, Naruto knowing he could easily win but wanted to see how Sasuke fought. He made sure to not give too many signs. He watched as Sasuke started with a right hook, if you get the reference good for you, and followed with a kick to the head. Naruto dodged right, away from the right hook. He then ducked to avoid the kick to the head, which he followed with a powerful blow to the chin, sending Sasuke upwards, causing him to stop right near the line, meaning he was still in. Sasuke stood up and launched himself at Naruto, aiming a left punch to the head. Naruto grabbed Sasuke's wrist and pulled Sasuke towards him. He then, in one fluid motion, let go of Sasuke's wrist, went low, and punched Sasuke in the ribs, sending Sasuke flying upwards. Sasuke landed within the circle and got up, charging towards Naruto again. Naruto just sighed and poked Sasuke's forehead like he saw Itachi do, before doing a full 360 spin and kicking Sasuke out and having his back into a tree. Naruto put his hands in his pockets and moved to leave the circle. Winner is Naruto Uzumaki. Iruka called. Everyone was silent as they saw Naruto go to lean his back against the chains. The fangirls then yelled something ridiculous. "We challenge Naruto Baka to a fight." Naruto sighed again and looked in their direction. "Okay, you howler monkeys. Let's do this, all of you versus me. Right here, right now," he said in a bored tone. All of the girls except for Ino and Hinata went to the circle, which Iruka expanded with his special, earth-style, ground-width expansion jutsu, and they all got into their battle stances. "Ino pig, come help us out." Sakura yelled out. Ino just looked at Sakura. "I'm not devoted to getting my ass handed to me. Do it yourself," she said plainly. Kiba clapped, "So at least one of them has sense," he said sarcastically before getting a fist to the face from Ino. "Now he's quiet," she said smugly. "Hajime," Iruka yelled. Naruto looked at the group of girls. There were about 12 of them in total. 2 of them went to attack Naruto. Both sent a punch to 2 different areas of his body, which he dodged easily before kicking one in the ass, sending her flying over the gate. The second girl continued sending punches and kicks at Naruto, which he dodged seamlessly. He yawned and grabbed her wrist, tossing her onto her friend. "That was easy," he said. 5 girls decided to charge him. They all sent punches and kicks in Naruto's direction, which Naruto easily blocked or dodged. At one point, 2 of them separated from the group and went for the side headbutts, which Naruto jumped over. The girls headbutted each other and got knocked out of the ring and onto the girl pile by the other girls. Naruto then twisted his body to get around the girls and kicked all of them into the pile too. The other 5 girls then charged. Sakura delivered one of her strong blows to Naruto, who blocked it but was pushed back near the line. The girls all got excited and rushed Naruto full speed, expecting him to be there. But Naruto surprised everyone and jumped really high, causing 3 of the girls to leave. It was then Ino went to join them. "Geez, you guys got your ass handed to you. I'll help you this once," she said. Hinata also came up. "Naruto-kun taught me about improvement and how to be more aggressive. I already was towards the Hyuga person who called him a demon because he didn't do his job. I will help you too as a test, but of my own abilities," Hinata said, stepping up. The top 3 kunoichis versus Naruto. The other insignificant girl ran at Naruto and Naruto just hit her neck and tossed her into the pile. "Don't worry, Naruto only knocked her out. I swear to the freaking Deathbringer, let these fangirls leave me alone," Naruto said to the air. Hinata and Ino got mad. "We aren't fangirls, Baka," they yelled. "I wasn't talking about you two, so don't worry," Naruto said. Hinata slid into her own style, the Wind-Water 64 style, since her main affinities were wind and water instead of wind and earth. Ino got into the Yamanaka-style taijutsu, and Sakura got into the Haruno clan taijutsu. The 3 charged and Naruto knew he would have to try. He first got to Hinata. The 2 were countering each other and their hands were both getting red from the times they kept high-fiving. Naruto then caught Hinata's wrists and tossed her out of the ring. Ino then engaged as she was the closest and Naruto caught her wrist, hit the underside of her arm, and threw her by her now limp arm. Then Sakura came in with the Haruno-style taijutsu. She sent 2 quick jabs at Naruto's ribs, which were blocked by Naruto. Naruto then wheeled around and elbowed Sakura's back, only for her to catch it. Naruto let out a chuckle. He was excited he would get to have fun. Sakura jumped at Naruto and Naruto caught her wrist, but Sakura sent a punch at Naruto, which he caught and threw Sakura out of bounds. He then let out a sigh. "That was really anticlimactic," he said. The girls all looked around in shock. The class's dead last beat them, alone. Sasuke was brooding in a corner. He was wondering how Naruto got so good. Not only did he lose to Naruto, but Naruto clapped the cheeks of literally every other girl who was his fangirl. He wondered why Naruto seemingly got stronger overnight. Sasuke was walking home and saw a kid in his final year, Neji Hyuga. The one who Naruto flattened with a dodge and a hit. "Hey!" Sasuke yelled out to the Hyuga prodigy. "What do you want?" Neji asked, somewhat irritably. "Spar with me," Sasuke said. Neji sighed and nodded. Naruto was walking home when he saw the exchange. He followed the 2 to training field 7. Naruto jumped down between the 2. "Mind if I'm the proctor?" he asked. Sasuke teached before nodding. Neji let out a single nod, not forgetting how Naruto humiliated him. "Hajime!" Naruto yelled. Neji and Sasuke ran at each other. Sasuke consciously activated his 2 Tomo Sharingan and Neji activated his Byakugan. Quick author's note. Itachi put Sasuke into a Tsukuyomi where he repeatedly killed the entire clan on his own and unlocked his 3 Tomo Sharingan, but he can change the version at will. He defaults to 2 since 3 drains his chakra by a lot. Naruto watched as Sasuke jumped into the air and weaved through several hand signs. Fire style. Great Uchiha Fireball. This is my own idea of a new jutsu the Uchiha clan can use. Neji jumped back but the fireball kept coming. Neji went low. 8 trigrams. Rotation. Neji yelled. He rotated and his chakra formed a protective ball of chakra around him. The fire hit the sphere and it became a part of the sphere. Neji smirked. He had Sasuke right where he wanted him. Before the fire dissipated, Neji used the 8 trigrams air palm and launched the fire as a flamethrower type thing at Sasuke. Sasuke used his chakra to boost himself in midair out of the path of the jutsu. Neji got into his stance again. "You're in range of my 6 trigrams 64 palms." Neji yelled. Sasuke was confused until he landed and Neji struck. Neji started to attack Sasuke and he was about to strike the stomach. "It's time to teach you some humility," Neji yelled as he sent the final attack at Sasuke, who got all of his other chakra paths blocked. Right before the attack struck, Naruto slapped away the hand. "Do not go overboard unless we get to somewhere like the Chunin exams," Naruto said, giving Neji a hard glare. Neji was slightly intimidated and didn't realize it until Naruto slammed his face into the floor with a foot on said face. Ten and Lee ran out to them at that moment. "Oh my god, what happened here?" Ten asked, hands over her mouth. "I let Neji teach the duckass something before stopping him from dealing an possibly fatal blow," Naruto said. "Get off of Neji's head. It is very unyouthful to do so," Lee exclaimed. "Okay, is killing someone youthful?" Naruto asked. "No it isn't, but you shouldn't stand on someone's head either," Lee yelled. In an instant, Lee found himself on the floor. "Do not give me lectures about this," Naruto said. He then let out a sigh and helped Lee stand. "So youthful," Lee said, thinking about how Naruto got him while he kept Neji on the floor. Naruto took his foot off of Neji. "You say something?" Naruto asked Lee. "Curse you and your hip attitude, Naruto," Lee yelled. Somewhere far away, a man in a black mask covering the bottom half of his face with gravity-defying gray hair and a man with really bushy eyebrows both sneezed. "I feel a mini-me coming," the gray-haired man said, looking into the sky. "They will be as youthful as us," the other man shouted. "You say something, Guy?" the masked man said. "Damn you Kakashi and your hip attitude," Guy yelled in response. With Neji was sitting in his bedroom and pondering about earlier events. Naruto had merely beaten him with a slap, a glare, and a kick. Neji stood up and decided to train harder than before. He kicked the training posts so hard everybody in the Hyuga compound could hear loud smacks and thuds from how hard he slapped them. Back to Naruto the next day. Naruto walked to his classroom. Every kid in class looked at Naruto with a greater amount of respect than before. Suddenly, Mizuki and Iruka walked in. "Okay, as yesterday was interrupted by a challenge, we will resume the Genin test spars," Mizuki called. The class cheered. Everybody filed into single file and walked out to the sparring grounds. The first fight was relatively boring, just a civilian girl versus a civilian boy, as was the next 9 matches. The next match was more interesting. Hinata was going against Kiba, the two clan heads whose clans specialized in taijutsu. Hinata won, to say the least. Kiba was ruthlessly attacked with non-chakra infused attacks to not cause any damage but was beaten. The next one was Sakura versus Ino, and Sakura won since no jutsus were being used. The next fight was between Shikamaru and Choji. Both refused to fight due to being best friends. "Iruka-sensei, I wish for a rematch against Naruto," Sasuke said. Iruka nodded. "Since we do need one more match to fill the day, go ahead," he said. Naruto and Sasuke got into the arena. Hiruzen was at the academy and was interested in the fight. He jumped down. "Hokage-sama, what brings you here?" he asked. "It's simple. I wish to see this batch of students fight but I was late. But it appears these two will fight so it will do," Hiruzen said, even though he'd seen the other fights which were sad examples of shinobi battling. Naruto and Sasuke stepped into the ring. "If I may, can you permit jutsus?" Hiruzen asked. "Of course Lord Hokage," Iruka said. "Fuinjutsu, protective spectator cage," Iruka said. A cage formed around the students so they could watch. "Group Shunshin," Naruto said. Everyone was moved really fast to Training Ground 7. "Very good Naruto," Hiruzen said. "I need power like that," Sasuke thought. The two got into fighting stances. "Hajime," yelled Hiruzen. Naruto smirked and Sasuke was slightly unsettled. "The dobi won by luck so I can do it this time," Sasuke thought to himself. Naruto then threw kunai in every direction possible with special ceiling tags. "It can't be possible, can it?" Iruka thought. Naruto smirked and teleported. "Namikaze-sama," Iruka uttered wordlessly. He was flashing to each kunai around Sasuke, who decided to activate his 3 Tomo Sharingan. Naruto let out another smirk and threw an item. It looked like a bluish-purple eye that had a pure black pupil in the middle. On impact, the eye teleported Naruto to it. Naruto made it so he could throw it at someone and teleport to them. The eye didn't break on impact. He was teleported to Sasuke and sliced upward with his kunai. Sasuke kicked Naruto's wrist and knocked off the trajectory enough to only get his cheek scratched. Sasuke then jumped back. Water style. Great torrent jutsu. Sasuke yelled. A giant wave of water surged towards Naruto. Nice. Earth style. Great IWA walls. Naruto yelled. Hiruzen's eyes widened in surprise. How does he know that jutsu? He pondered to himself. Sasuke went in front of Naruto. Wind style. Sharp curved winds. Sasuke yelled. A bunch of sharp wind blades went flying at Naruto. Fire style. Counterintuitive. Naruto yelled. A stream of fire shot out the blades coming at Naruto. Sasuke was panting heavily. He used a lot of chakra doing what he just did. Sasuke then felt a cold metal press against his neck. I win, Naruto said cheerfully. The entire class stood there shocked. Naruto, I was wondering, do you wish to be promoted? Your skills and chakra capacity are easily jonin, but you need experience. So since you are 9, I offer you the position of Chunin, Hiruzen told Naruto. Naruto let out a big smile. He would love to be a Chunin. Naruto was given his first mission, a C-rank mission. He was tasked with assassinating a small bandit encampment. The leader was said to be a high Chunin low Jonin level shinobi. The bandits had taken over a small village and used it as their encampment. Each bandit was anywhere between low Genin to mid Chunin. Naruto nodded. He knew the mission ranking was B rank, but the Hokage sent a clone of himself with Naruto to check on Naruto and his progress. Naruto found the village at slightly around dawn. Taju, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto whispered to himself. The Hokage was impressed. Naruto was sending his clones out to scout the taken over town by stealing the people to get them to safety before transforming into them. We took over this town like a week ago. It's a good thing we just finished the walls, a guy said. Naruto had secretly gone in through the opening and was looking around while keeping tabs on his clones. He noticed a castle suddenly appeared and it looked like the result of an earth jutsu. He saw the shinobi had earth headbands. These people are invading our lands and it appears they either forgot to cross their headbands or they were sent by Iwagakure. Naruto then created hundreds of shadow clones and reverted to his original form. He got ready to storm the castle. The first group who attacked them were well over 100 people. The old man didn't get full details, did he? Naruto asked in his head as he shook his head. The clones all went toe-to-toe with the genin and took them down with relative ease. The next wave of the bunch were low Chunin. Naruto had a harder time taking them down. His horde of clones were down to 50 of him from taking them down. Then the next wave came out. 20 mid Chunin. They all took the clones out with ease and were charging at Naruto. Hiruzen was about to step in when he saw Naruto pull out special kunai. I believe I haven't introduced myself. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yondaime Hokage and future Hokage of Konohagakure. Naruto yelled. The men looked in fear as Naruto threw the kunai at them all. They dodged and Naruto flashed to all of them, leaving one alive for questioning. Naruto went into the castle. He was met with 2 high Chunin level opponents. He noticed when he fought the 2. So brothers, Naruto thought. He threw a single kunai between the 2 and got rid of them too. He then reached the door in front of him, which had 1 man. I am the right-hand man of our leader. My name is Ao Yashigara, he exclaimed. Naruto let out a smirk. Okay, and I will defeat you right now. Remember me as the one who defeated not just you but also your leader. Naruto exclaimed. He put a kunai into the floor and finished off the first guy he captured with one of his kunai left in the original area. He teleported back. Okay Yashigara, I will end you right now, Naruto said. He threw a kunai at Ao and stabbed his heart. Naruto then broke into the room. You defeated Ao, huh? I am Yikoto. Yikoto Rigato. You look young. What is your name? He asked. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Datbeo. Naruto yelled. Yikoto smirked. Okay Uzumaki, let's do this. Naruto threw 2 kunai forward and flashed to the one in front of Yikoto. He sliced at Yikoto and missed. Yikoto smirked because he thought Naruto's aim was really bad. But then Naruto flashed by Yikoto and tried to stab him. Yikoto deflected the kunai coming at him from behind. Yikoto jumped away and froze in realization. Namikaze, you're the son of the Yondaime, aren't you? Yikoto yelled. And if I am? Naruto asked. Yokota let out a loud laugh. Oh, the irony. The son of the general of the Iwagakure army who was slaughtered by the Yellow Flash, facing off against the son of said Yellow Flash. Yokota said crazily. I will avenge my father and his army by killing the legacy of their assassinator. Naruto smirked. I assume you are well versed in jutsus of all kinds too? Naruto asked. Yokota nodded. Let's do this, Yokota said. The two seemingly teleported to each other and started clashing. The sound of kunai clashing rang across the town, causing destruction all over the walls. The two ran back and ran through hand signs. Magma style. Great magma overflow. Yokota yelled. Naruto started weaving hand signs. Electrocution style. Great paralyzing waves. Naruto yelled. He could use every Kekkei Genkei and every Kekkei Tota. So he resorted to the perfect counter. Earth lost to electricity and the fire lost to water. Electrocution style used electrocuted water to fight. The two jutsus clashed and dissipated, as well as caused rubble to be strewn everywhere. Yokota smiled. Impressive kid. You got a perfect counter for my Kekkei Genkei, Naruto smiled. Thanks for the compliment, the two then recollided. I have to pull this out already huh, Naruto said. Shadow style. Kunai extension jutsu. Naruto said. The kunai hilt grew to be able to fit both of Naruto's hands in them. The blade elongated to be slightly shorter than an average Anbu katana. Magma style. Molten blade. Yokota said. The two then charged at each other. The two blades collided. They were flashing and repeatedly clashing blades. I'd assume you're easily on the level of Kakashi Hatake, Naruto said. I'm flattered, Yokota said. The two kept clashing until Naruto got a lucky hit. Now, before I kill you, can you give me information on Iwa's plans, as you are the mission leader, Naruto said. Yokota smiled. I am the most powerful shinobi in the entire Stone Village besides our Tsuchikage. Since you gave me a good fight and beat me, even though I hadn't even underestimated you, I will tell you. The Tsuchikage told assigned me a mission. Flashback RQ. Sir Yokota, Tsuchikage-sama has a mission for you, a stone Anbu told him. Yokota nodded and Earth Shun shinned to the door and knocked. Come in, the Tsuchikage called. Lord Onoki, you called me? Yokota asked. I require you to invade the fire territory as undercover bandits. We have thousands of shinobi, so you may take 163 men. 100 genin, 40 low chunin, 20 high chunin, and 3 others, Onoki said. I understand, Yokota said. He chose his warriors and set out. End of flashback. Naruto nodded and took notes down. Naruto, if it's possible, can I join your village? Yokota asked. I'll see what I can do. Hokage Gigi, get your ass down here. Naruto yelled. Hiruzen jumped down. Very good, Naruto. I believe I should give you S rank pay due to the large amount of ninja you were required to face. As for you, Mr. Yokota, I will allow you to stay. But you must go through the standard. You know, probation period, testing period, D-rank period, oh yes, and Inoichi has to look through your memories, Hiruzen said. Yokota nodded. Right, he said. Hiruzen took them all and teleported them back home. The next day. Hello Naruto, Hiruzen said to Naruto as he walked into the room. Hiruzen handed Naruto his payment in a little satchel when Naruto shook his head. I'll seal it in here, Naruto said. He showed a scroll and sealed the satchel into the scroll. Okay, Gigi, have a good day. Naruto yelled out as he was about to leave. Naruto wait, Hiruzen called out. Send them in, Hiruzen called to the Anbu near the door. Naruto's eyes widened in disbelief. He saw Minato, a beautiful red-haired woman that had decent curves and pretty violet eyes. There was another girl who had long blonde hair in 2 ponytails and bright violet eyes. Naruto? They all asked in sync. Naruto? The family asked. Naruto. The girl yelled out. She ran to hug him and Naruto just patted her back. Hello. Naruto trailed off. Mito, she said. Hi Mito, Naruto said. When Kushina and Minato tried to go and hug Naruto, his eyes flashed red. You two aren't my parents. Our bonds died the day you left me alone, Naruto said. Minato and Kushina immediately both made one clone and did a tailed beast containment barrier. Is this some pathetic attempt to keep me trapped? Naruto asked. He closed his eyes for a little bit and opened his right eye. It became a special technique he called disguise. It looked like a barrier stopped working to all of them, but in reality, it didn't stop working. It tricked Minato and Kushina to jump back and release the seal. Damn, he's good. I felt the jutsu be released, so he didn't break it, Minato said. He threw a Hiraishin kunai at Naruto, who deflected it with his own. Hiruzen decided to step in. Enough, he yelled. But Naruto's going into his Kyuubi state. Minato yelled. Do I look like I'm going into the Kyuubi state, Namikaze? Naruto asked. Minato flinched slightly at his tone. No, he said feebly. Minato may have been powerful, but Kushina's glare alone sent enemies everywhere running for their lives. Minato saw a much more sinister promise. One of torture and death. I'm sorry for causing a scene, Hokage-sama. I believe I should take my leave, Naruto said, bowing on one knee before vanishing in a shunshin, leaving no traces behind. It appears Naruto grew stronger than Kakashi, Hiruzen said. I don't believe he knows it yet, though, he muttered the last part quietly. Naruto opened the door to the house. He literally couldn't believe it. He got promoted to Chunin and took a quick S-rank mission in one day. Hey, Anko-sensei, Naruto called. Wow, Naruto, what's with the Chunin vest? Anko asked, leaving the kitchen. Surprisingly, Anko could cook tasty balanced diet ramen. The two talked over ramen. When Naruto got to the part about his parents, she bit her lip with nervousness. She wanted to keep him with her but was afraid if he decided to go. But then I was like, no. We lost our bonds as soon as you decided to ditch me. Pretty badass, right? Naruto asked in excitement. Anko nodded, all nervousness relieved. Naruto and Anko continued talking with each other over dinner about the events of the recent days. Naruto even told her about the all girls versus him battle royale and how he won. Anko nodded. You're doing good with what I taught you, Gaki, Anko said proudly. Anko-sensei, can I call you Ne-chan? Naruto asked. Anko let out a proud smile. Of course, Oto. Anko said, ruffling Naruto's hair. Also, I want to tell you a secret, Naruto said. Anko nodded and saw Naruto start meditating. She got flashbacks to how she first started training Naruto and how he unleashed all of his chakra. She noticed him look up and gasped. She had seen many amazing things, but what she found surprised her. Naruto had a special Sharingan that she had never seen in the Rinnegan, a fabled power wielded by the Sage of Six Paths. My Sharingan is called an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. You get it by killing someone you love, but only the Mangekyo Sharingan. You get the eternal version by taking it from a family member, but I put myself in a genjutsu where I killed you repeatedly, or I was forced to. Then I was able to get a Mangekyo, but for some reason, it worked to get me an eternal version. Naruto finished. The Rinnegan is an unknown before you ask, Naruto quickly said. He wasn't ready to reveal anything about himself yet. Naruto went to bed, trying to figure out how everything would work. Little did he know, he would get the biggest surprise of his life. Anko was talking with Kakashi, one of her friends. Kakashi, I'm afraid of what will happen if I get arrested for not handing over Naruto. He's only 8 and had done his first, lots of kills. He brought home the freaking best ninja who wasn't the Tsuchikage in Iwa. But his family might want him back, Anko said. Kakashi nodded. Minato-sensei might do that. I'm sure if you told Naruto, he would understand and move out, Kakashi said. Anko thought for a bit. Okay, I'll let him know, Anko told Kakashi. Well, it's been pleasant, but I need to go. See you round, Anko called before shunshining home. Kakashi was crying anime tears. Why is the bill so high? Anko arrived at her large apartment. Naruto, she called out. Naruto came running down the hall. Yes, Anko-sensei? Naruto asked. Anko had tears in her eyes. What's wrong? Naruto asked. Naru, you need to move out for your own good, Anko said. Naruto looked at her in disbelief. Why Anko-sensei? Naruto asked. Well, your father will want you back. So I will get arrested, but then you'll be left alone. So I want you to move out to be safe from your only known location, Anko told Naruto. Naruto nodded and bowed to Anko. Thank you for teaching me and warning me, Anko-sensei. But I have one last request for you. May I have a mask? Naruto asked. Anko chuckled and handed Naruto a mask. I knew you'd ask, so I bought one already, Anko said. Naruto smirked with his mask on. Again, thank you Anko-sensei for taking care of me for all these years and helping me a week ago with my The first 100 kills, Naruto said, before shunshining away. Naruto got his stuff and shunshined to his cabin in the Forest of Death. He used wood style to build it a bit after his first kill to vent his chakra to distract himself from it. He was lounging on the top floor and reading Fuinjutsu scrolls. He was already a level 7 Fuinjutsu master and reading the last scroll on connecting seals to be able to become a level 10 Fuinjutsu master. He finished up the book and sat down on his desk. He already had several different sized paintbrushes and several different chakra inks. He started drawing out the Fuinjutsus. He made a seal using 7 kanjis, 1 for lightning, 1 for earth, 1 for water, 1 for wind, 1 for fire, 1 for yin, and 1 for yang. He connected them with a complicated series of kanji chains and lines. Perfect, Naruto exclaimed. He called it the 7-point seal. It made sealing large masses of chakra easier. He received help from Kurama on how to reinforce the seal. He also added a second set of the same kanjis, but in the inner circle, and had them reinforced with a special 4-corner violet flame seal. It could hold up to a tailed best twice as powerful as Kurama but worked better with letting power through the seal. The seal also worked for 3 other things. The first was sealing someone's chakra, as the seal was regulated through the person who made the seal. The second one was a one-man 7-elemental barrier that worked with the seal, which, again, was manipulated by the chakra of the user. The third one was an intense gravity seal, which Naruto used it for. Again, the power levels are manipulated by chakra. Naruto knew taking off said seals if he wore them for a month would help him by a lot. Naruto put on his seals and made a chakra training post, the same ones as the ones at Training Ground 7. He started repeatedly hitting the post, creating dents in the post, which had instantly repaired itself. The sound of loud thuds rang across the entire forest, stopping right behind the trees at the edge of the Forest of Death. But even the faintest sounds were drained out by the snakes hissing and the birds flapping their wings, as well as the other animals and their natural sounds. Naruto learned how to grow food in 1 month, as well as purify water. He became one with the Forest of Death. 1 year later, Naruto had trained himself to the literal max. He also went out on missions and avoided contact with his parents as much as possible. He learned through his sister, who he actually loved as a good older brother should, that his parents were training her in case he goes wild and lets out the Kyuubi. Naruto also trained his sister with stuff she didn't learn and helped when she messed up. He learned the Rasengan when Mito told him about where she was troubled with the training. She explained how she already popped the water balloon by rotating her chakra, but needed help making the rubber ball explode. Naruto figured he would have to contain the power but make the power rotate. So he focused his chakra and did it. "Hey Mito, did it look like this?" Naruto asked as he showed what he made. "Yeah, but how did you know?" Mito asked. "Well, I tried combining the 2 practices and keeping it stable," Naruto said, smiling. Mito had stars in her eyes. "Wow, big brother, you're a genius," she said. Naruto nodded. "I am a genius. But one of hard work. Remember, just because dad and mom are famous and powerful, act like you're homeless. Treasure everything you have, and then you will become strong. Also, remember, make good friends," Naruto told Mito sagely. Mito nodded and remembered something. "Naruto, we have a little sister now," Mito said. "Oh?" Naruto asked, confused. "Yeah, mommy and daddy had a girl a year ago," Mito said. "Oh," Naruto said. "They seem to ignore me now to take care of her, but I don't mind." Mito said. "Mito, your mom and dad do not hate you or ignore you on purpose. They have to since the new baby needs more attention since she doesn't know how to take care of herself yet." "Also, what's her name?" Naruto asked. "Her name is Natsumi," Mito said. Naruto nodded. "Thanks, now let's get back to me teaching you the Rasengan. Maybe next time you come, I can teach you my special Fuinjutsu too," Naruto said. Mito cheered and got back to work. Naruto actually bothering to watch her. As Naruto was about to ask Mito to come inside to grab some food, she started cheering. Naruto came over and saw her with an almost completely mastered Rasengan in her hand. "Very nice Mito," Naruto exclaimed. Mito looked up proudly. "I did it," she cheered. "Now you need to master it," Naruto said. Mito nodded and she sat down, ready to devote all her time to start mastering it. But not now. You need to eat first. Naruto exclaimed. But I want to keep training. Mito pouted. Ramen, Naruto said. Mito immediately basically teleported into the house. Naruto chuckled and followed her in. There's lemonade on the table. Naruto called. He walked in, feeling content with how his life was. Naruto woke up and heard knocking. He opened the door and found an Anbu at his doorstep. Hokage-sama wishes to speak to you effective immediately, the Anbu said. Tell him I'll be there soon, Naruto said. He knew the old man would stay in office for an extra year and 2 months for Naruto's sake, as the Jonin exams would be in that time for Naruto to gain experience and take the Jonin exams, so Naruto could avoid his father. Naruto went upstairs. Mito, I need to head out for a bit, Naruto told her after waking her up. Mito nodded and sat up. You can stay here if you want to, Naruto said. He then shunned to the Hokage's office. Mito snuggled deeper into the bed and the sheets. She let out a sigh and fell asleep again. Naruto arrived in the Hokage's office. Hello, Naruto, Hiruzen said. Hey, Gigi, Naruto said. Now, I'm aware you've been at Chunin for quite some time now. I originally let you stay at Chunin to give you more experience, so now that you have a lot as of the past year, I wish for you to take the Jonin exams, Hiruzen said, taking a puff of his pipe. You know, if you keep smoking, you're going to die, Naruto said. Tsunade tried getting me to stop, Jiraiya did, and your 2 ex-parents did too. I don't think you can convince me, Hiruzen said. Yes, Hokage-sama. However, may I take my sister with me on this journey? Naruto asked. Hiruzen nodded. Naruto bowed. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Naruto said. And by the way, Naruto, the Jonin exams are in Iwagakure, so be careful, the old Hokage said. He shinned back to his place. Naruto arrived in the house and saw Mito, who was dressed in the bare minimum, come downstairs. Naruto sighed. Mito, get dressed, Naruto said. Mito looked up and saw Naruto. She squeaked in surprise and ran upstairs. Naruto sighed. Why is she basically naked? He rhetorically asked himself. He already knew unless she was sleeping with him to be better siblings, she slept in the bare minimum. Mito came back down. What is it? Mito asked, knowing the look on Naruto's face. I want to take you to the Jonin exams with me, Naruto said. Mito nodded. Really? She asked. Naruto nodded. Great, I will come, Mito exclaimed. She quickly ran home, told her parents where she was going, which she skipped the lecture on safety before they could start, grabbed her clothes, and left. Naruto and Mito were at the gates and Mito saw Naruto had no backpack or suitcase as she had. Mito, let me help you carry that easier, Naruto said. He made some hand signs and planted his hand onto the ground. Immediately, a piece of paper with a large storage seal appeared. Naruto held his hand out and Mito handed the suitcase. Naruto put it in the storage seal. Mito had stars in her eyes. So cool, Mito said. Naruto ruffled her hair. It's in our blood, Naruto said. The two then proceeded to go to Iwa. Mito was interested. Naruto was explaining why the two weren't as welcomed in Iwagakure due to both being the son of Minato Namikaze and being Uzumakis. Mito repeatedly asked questions, which Naruto answered with ease. Naruto explained he knew because of how he beat the top shinobi that wasn't the Iwagakure's cage. Mito started asking about his experiences and Naruto told her about one particular one that involved scouting Iwagakure after defeating the strongest shinobi that wasn't the cage in Iwagakure. Flashback. Naruto was assigned a mission by Hiruzen to scout out Iwagakure since they received great information from Yokota about what Iwa was planning. Naruto arrived at the Earth borders. Shadow style, Shadowflash, Naruto said. He became invisible and hid his chakra. He snuck into the Tsuchikage's office. Anbu, it appears the Konoha shinobi beat all of them and took the body. Check for marks on who it could have been, Naruto heard Onoki, the Tsuchikage of Iwagakure no Sato, said. We are also hosting the Jonin exams this month, so be sure to watch for any ninja who might try and attack us, Onoki said. Naruto listened in for a few more hours and heard nothing else of importance. He left the room and started looking around, still in Shadowflash. He saw a lot of things that disturbed him and caused him some pain. He saw in one room below the Tsuchikage's office, which was on the floor, there was a rape chamber, which force bred the most powerful kunoichi with shinobi families of the ninja. Naruto was disgusted, especially at the screams he heard coming from the kunoichi. He quickly killed them and saved the woman. She saw Naruto and bowed gratefully at her masked hero. Naruto used some jutsu and made her some clothes out of leaves from his wood style. "Thank you," she said. After she had left, Naruto went to look for other places. He saved all of the women in the place and saw all of the little girls there, probably from the woman and probably to use them for future breeding. Naruto realized what he had to do and grabbed the woman who he let escape and sealed all of them in the prisoner sealing scroll. He left them in there and vanished again into the shadow flage. Anbu entered the room and Naruto threw a kunai. He teleported to them and slashed their necks. He then picked up the kunai and vanished. He found the training grounds and saw all of the training. The training was brutal and Naruto could tell why he would lose no matter what. None of the shinobi found it fun or did it passionately. Naruto shook his head and kept track of all the information. Naruto then quickly left. As soon as he got a fair distance away from Iwa's walls, he came out of his shadow. Suddenly, he felt 3 Anbu signatures on him. He jumped just as a hail of kunai and shuriken came down on where he originally was. The Anbu charged him. Naruto easily parried the first and stabbed his heart. The girl was harder. Her blonde hair kept smacking him in the face, making it hard to see. He then just sliced off her mask and stabbed her ass in the perfect spot to make her bleed out fast and be humiliated. The Anbu captain attacked Naruto. Naruto slashed upward with one of his special sword kunai. The Anbu captain blocked with an arm guard. He sent a fist covered in fire chakra but had actual earth cloaking it. Naruto blocked with his hand and moved with the blow to avoid harsh injury. He jumped back towards the Anbu and the two started blocking and exchanging. Naruto was trying but barely broke a sweat due to his genes. The Anbu was trying as hard as he could and slipped once, which Naruto took advantage of and attacked that side. Naruto knew he would guard that side more and attack the other side. Naruto's cyclone kicked the Anbu and knocked him into a tree. He grabbed the Anbu captain and knocked him out. He then started ninja jumping back to the village with the Anbu, who was in a slight mind coma so he would stay asleep. When Naruto got close enough, he shinned back to the village and dropped him off at the T&I department before going to deliver the orders to the Hokage. End of flashback. "Whoa, you're so cool, big brother," Mito said. Naruto ruffled her hair and handed her a tag with a seal on it. "Wear this, Mito. It gives you skills, a disguise, jutsus, and no free will. It's so you don't look too suspicious. Okay?" Naruto asked. Mito nodded. "Halt, why are you here?" one of the several guards in front of the gates asked. Naruto held up a Jonin exams form and Mito held up a royalty and spectating form. The 20 guards nodded and Naruto and Mito walked in. Naruto took off Mito's tag and let her revert to her own form. "Oh, I get it now," Mito said. Naruto nodded and Mito already knew she figured out why. Mito put on her disguise and left the room. She started walking around to explore the village. Since her card registered her as royalty, people worshipped the ground she walked on and was catered to by the citizens looking to become a suitor for her hand or to become her good friend. She merely accepted the stuff but checked for poisons and such. But she never acted if they were nice because of the persona. Naruto was in the Jonin exams as the only one from Konoha there. "Hello everyone, I am Onoki of Iwagakure, the Tsuchikage and the proctor of this exam," Onoki yelled. "The first exam is simple. You must first steal a bell that each person received. You only need 1 bell, but may grab more. Now, we will hand out the bells," Onoki said. A bunch of Anbu threw at all of them some bells, and one person caught 2. "Hey, you took my bell," the guy behind Naruto complained. "Yup, Naruto got the 2. Naruto gave a glance to the Tsuchikage. "Give the boy another one," the Tsuchikage sighed. "Cheeky kids these days," he thought. Naruto even gave a cheeky grin to prove his point. Everyone looked at him and realized how young he actually was. "Well, begin," Onoki called. Everyone was pushed into a stone terrain. Naruto sighed as he felt 10 groups of 5 all glaring at him. "So," Naruto yelled out. The groups listened. "I'm being watched by a group from Kirigakure, a group from Kumogakure, a group from Sunagakure, and 2 groups from Iwagakure. Naruto yelled. The groups all flinched in surprise. Well, I guess I'll fight you in waves then, Naruto said. There were 101 contestants and he was about to eliminate half of them. Suna jumped down with trench knives drawn. It was 5 in front and 5 in back. The 5 in the back were using fans and the ones in front were using trench knives. Naruto first kicked the 5 in front, breaking an arm on a limb from one of them. He then did a cyclone kick when they started to surround him. The 5 fell and the wind users attacked. Naruto sighed and weaved through hand seals. He did a great fireball. The wind users were pushed back. The Kiri ninja realized they could attack and jumped down. Naruto let out a sigh. He weaved through more hand signs and did the earth-style, earth spears. All 10 Kiri ninja were each impaled with a spear. Next, 10 from Kumo came down. Fire and lightning had no advantage and lightning had an advantage over earth-style. Naruto sighed and pulled out a kunai. Shadow kunai jutsu, Naruto said. His kunai morphed into a katana. The first guy came forward and Naruto sighed. He slashed at all of them and got 2 people. Eventually, he used pure kenjutsu with his mother's Red Death Tornado kenjutsu to wear them down to just 4 people. The 3 were panting and 1 didn't look winded. Naruto let out a smile. He looked at Samui, Karui, and Omoi. You're the same as me, so you won't receive a title, Naruto said, pointing his katana at Yugito. Now you 3, tell me your names, Naruto said. The 3 said their names. One was a blonde-haired girl named Samui, one was a red-haired dark-skinned girl named Karui, and one was a worst-case scenario procrastinator boy named Omoi. You 3 are interesting, able to have survived. I grant you 3 the title of the Big 3 of Kumogakure, Naruto said. He tossed all 4 of them a bell each and winked at Yugito. We're the same, you know, he said before he jumped into a mountain using a jutsu. The 4 heard screams and Naruto came out, covered in blood. You 3 will grow strong. Remember, do not let Yugito die though. I have a feeling she might meet her doom a bit too early, Naruto said. He then did a speed body flicker to the finish line. Naruto lounged around for a bit, knowing the first trial would end in about 4 days. 3 days later, Samui, Karui, Omoi, and Yugito were all at the entrance of the finish line building and stumbled in. They showed their real bells to the lady in the front. They looked at the pile of bells in surprise. 25 teams already passed? Karui asked. The lady shook her head. No, that really young blonde boy dropped all of these off, the lady in the front said. Naruto came walking down, hands in pockets. Oh hey, Naruto said, waving at the 4. Can us 4 fight you? Karui asked. Naruto nodded. When? He asked. They all looked to the lady in front of the door. She pointed to the left door. The 5 nodded and walked to the training ground. Naruto tossed them all a chakra paper. Use that on yourself, Naruto said. Omoi started worrying. What if it's a trap to eliminate us from the competition? What if he decides to kill us after this? What if? Omoi was interrupted by Karui, who smacked his head. Shut up, she yelled at him. Omoi sighed and the 4 slapped the paper on themselves. Their chakra fully regenerated. Okay, you ready now? Naruto asked. The 4 nodded. They watched each other for a bit before Naruto vanished. The 4 looked around, wondering where he went. Naruto had used Shadow Flash. Karui got a gut feeling and stabbed her sword in some random spot. Naruto came out, blood spurting from his mouth. Oh no, Omoi yelled. What if he was important? What if we get war called on us? What if? Omoi continued as Karui looked in shock. Samui, Yugito, Karui, and Omoi suddenly all felt a cold metal press against their throats. You must remain vigilant, even if it appears someone died they might not have, Naruto said. He then took the kunai off of their throats. Well, I heard we're doing one-on-ones next from the 3 days I've been here. Naruto pulled on his gloves, which were similar to the one Kakashi Hatake wore. He slid on some arm guards too. He grabbed his shadow katana and a Hiraishin kunai. He stepped out, light hitting his hair, making it seem brighter. His blue eyes seemed to pierce the competition. His serious face was on. Naruto grabbed his sword and got ready for his first fight, which was against some random guy who thought he was better than everyone else. He threw his Hiraishin kunai. Onoki looked on, starting to get interested even though this match, which was the 3rd match, just started. Then Onoki's jaw dropped. Naruto teleported to the kunai and kept slicing at the stone chunin and he collapsed. Naruto smirked and went back to the top. Onoki called the match and Naruto used the mystical palm 8th level technique which was used by the legendary Sannin Tsunade to heal people. Onoki gave a grateful bow before having him sent off. Naruto smirked and walked up. Karui and Omoi won their matches and Yugito just finished hers. She finished it with a slash to the throat of the Suna Nen. Naruto and the other Kumo Nen were clapping for her as she walked up. Onoki called for the second set of rounds to start. Naruto was against a Kiri Nen. She started off with a hidden in the mist jutsu, and Naruto smirked. Wind style. Wind Dragon Tempest. Naruto yelled. The wind made the mist go disperse. The opposing female let out a TCH and ran through hand signs. Steam style. Steaming geysers. The girl yelled. Ooh, a keke todaha? Naruto said as he jumped back to avoid the geysers. Steam style used earth, fire, and water style. Earth to heat up, the fire used to heat up the earth, and water getting turned to steam for use. Naruto weaved through hand signs. Particle style. Atomic dismantling. Naruto yelled. Onoki's jaw dropped as he saw Naruto use the style he took pride in. The girl used a water wall and jumped back to avoid the jutsu bits that still got through the wall. The girl jumped back and let out a tired sigh. Damn it! How do you have so much chakra when you're like a 9-year-old? She exclaimed. I'm a 10-year-old, but then again, you're 16, the average jonin age. So I guess it makes sense, Naruto said, aggravating her. She yelled out in rage and charged him. Water style. Water Dragon Jutsu. She yelled. Earth style. Earth and Stone Dragon. Naruto yelled. Onoki's jaw was basically hanging at this point. Naruto's dragon absorbed the dragon. Naruto then grabbed his own kunai and threw it at the girl. It hit her, but she fell into a puddle. Damn it, a water clone, Naruto said. He suddenly felt a rush of water coming from behind him. Naruto jumped and landed. Earth style. Ice stone wall. Naruto yelled. Onoki was fuming because Naruto seemed to know all of the village's secrets. The girl jumped and threw several kunai at him. Naruto sighed at the desperate attempt and slashed all of the kunai out of the air. He then appeared behind her and kicked her to the floor. I win, Naruto said as he held a kunai against her throat. She did a last-ditch effort and tried to do the balls kick jutsu, but Naruto caught her leg with his butt cheeks. She sighed. I give up, she said. Everyone in the arena let out cheers as Naruto got off of her and helped her up. He handed her a paper. If you ever need to train, that's my address, Naruto told her. She nodded and the two went up to the spectator box. By the way, what's your name? Naruto asked. You gave me your address without knowing me at all? The Kiri girl said. No, I know plenty about you. Like how you like dango, tea and dislike that one guy over there, Naruto said, the last part pointing at some cocky-looking guy who was about 16, the same age as the girl. How did you know that? The Kiri girl asked. Violence is a language, Naruto answered. The girl nodded. And my name is Aiko. No last name, Aiko said. Naruto nodded. Karui and Omoi were against each other and Omoi lost since he worried way too much in 1 second. Yugito also won her match. And it was Naruto's turn. He realized he was fighting the guy who Aiko didn't like. Do you want me to slaughter this man? Naruto asked. Aiko thought for a bit before nodding. Please do. He harasses so many different girls and we all really hate him. But he's like, the strongest person in the village that isn't Lord Yagura, Aiko said. Naruto smirked. That didn't stop me from beating the second best ninja in this village, Naruto said. Aiko gasped. Wow, you're actually really powerful, she said. Naruto nodded. Everyone saw a kunai hit the floor and Naruto teleport to it, looking just like his father whenever he used the Hireishin. Hajime, Onoki called. Naruto picked up the kunai and threw it at the guy. Naruto teleported to the kunai. His shadow katana slicing at him. The guy smirked and pulled out a kunai and blocked the shadow katana. Naruto sighed. He grabbed his kunai and threw it backward. He then engaged in a taijutsu fight before hearing the distinct clang of metal hitting stone. Naruto grabbed his kunai and threw it at the other guy. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. Naruto yelled. A kunai storm came flying at the Kiri Nen. He deflected as much as he could but was hit by 10 of the kunai, all in chakra points. Naruto then teleported to the original kunai he made and slashed the Kiri Nen. But he deflected the slash by pushing the kunai forward. Naruto smirked and stabbed his chest. He then made sure the guy stayed down by slashing his stomach. "I win," Naruto whispered. The people were all impressed with the brutal yet elegant display. Naruto bowed. Naruto walked up, smirking about the final 1 versus 1 versus 1. Karui lost to some guy from the stone village. Right before he killed her, Naruto stepped in and punched him into a wall. "This battle's done. Now do not kill her," Naruto said. Karui got ticked off but didn't say anything, knowing she would have died if he didn't step in. They all walked into the spectator box. "Good work everyone. Now rest and train for a week. Then we will go and do the three-way fight," Onoki called. Naruto headed home, towel over his shoulder. He heard the guy who he saved Karui from call out to him. "Hey," he called. Naruto turned around. "Why did you save her?" the guy asked. Naruto put on a thoughtful look. "I saved her because she might become an ally," Naruto said. "But why? Why not eliminate potential enemies?" the guy asked. "Because if you get rid of potential enemies, you strain out your chances to get easier money-making methods. At least, that's what I would tell you to get you motivated to not kill. But for me, it's because killing people is wrong. Imagine what you take from someone when you kill them. I killed that one guy because of what he did to the girl I destroyed the round before that. He was harassing the females in his village, so I killed him. But you take someone's future by killing them. There are 2 reasons Iwagakure military will never get truly strong. First, you don't train with the will to protect, but the will to attack. Second, you do not stay human if you kill enough. So remember, unless needed by the people around you, never feel like you are the judge and jury of someone's life. Spare as many as those who spare or do not torture, Naruto told him. The guy nodded. 1 week later, Naruto, Yugito, and the stone guy, whose name was Yukito, walked out onto the fighting field. The 3 spread out and were in different spots. Onoki looked over at them. "This stadium is of a village setup. We have special chakra viewers everywhere. Now, begin." Yugito, Naruto, and Yukito spread out. The people all had their own chakra paper that they could use to view each person. Naruto and Yugito were in 2 separate parallel buildings, meaning they were exactly the same but in different areas. Yukito was in a special room when he jumped back and ran. The room was a bathroom. Naruto thought for a second before he started moving. People watched as he closed his eyes and saw him use his senses and turned towards Yukito. Everyone watched as Yukito and Naruto started fighting. Yugito heard explosions and flames as she sat in her building, reading while she waited. "Kitten, don't you want to fight?" Matabi asked. Yugito sighed. "Tabi, I need to wait for the winner to be weakened so I can pounce," she responded. Matabi licked her lips because it was spring. "Yes, pounce," she said, starting to drool. Yugito sighed. "Not like that, Matabi," she said. Naruto pulled out an explosive kunai. "Fuinjutsu kunai clone jutsu," Naruto called. He blew up everything and knocked Yukito back. Yukito was wincing in pain. His left shoulder took a kunai Naruto through the explosions. "Fire style. Burning flames jutsu," Yukito yelled. "Water style. Kiri water wall," Naruto yelled. The flames collided with the water wall, creating a giant cloud of steam. "Wind style. Great breakthrough," Naruto yelled. The steam dispersed and Naruto saw a kunai coming at him. Naruto grabbed his katana and sliced the kunai out of the air. Another kunai came flying at him. Naruto pulled up the back of his gloved hand and the metal on the back of the glove blocked the kunai. Naruto pulled the kunai out of the back of his glove and threw it back at the guy, who blocked with his palm. Naruto then got behind the guy. "Give up," Naruto said. Yukito smirked. "No, you," he said. His body fell over, revealing it was an Iwa Bunshin. Naruto felt a cold metal against his throat. "You know, you're a respectable opponent," Naruto said. "I sense a but coming," Yukito muttered. "But not better than me," Naruto said. He tossed a kunai behind him and Yukito and teleported to it, before kicking Yukito into the air. He activated the 5th gate of pain and seemingly teleported to Yukito, kicked him around a bit, and slammed him into the floor. He deactivated the gate and landed on the floor, barely breaking a sweat. Naruto then moved fast and did a twist around Yukito, who twirled his kunai between his fingers and quickly threw it at where he figured Naruto would be, above him. He heard a thud and saw Naruto on the floor. He turned and saw another Naruto holding up a kanji and realized too late what happened. The Naruto on the floor blew up and he went flying. Half of his body was covered in blood. Naruto winced as he knelt down, using his healing jutsu. "Take him away," Naruto said. The guy nodded as he was moved out, knowing anything he said to stay in could be argued against with the fact Naruto healed him. Naruto was now hopping along the rooftops of the mock village, which was small in comparison to a real village with only 10 buildings. Naruto thought he saw slight movement from the building where Yugito was in since she just put away her book and got up to find Naruto. Naruto threw an explosive kunai at Yugito, who tossed her own kunai back to intercept the kunai. The kunai made contact and Naruto's exploded. Yugito's eyes widened as she heard Matabi yell, "Kitten, get down." And she got down. A blast of fire went over her head and she heard Matabi whimper in both fear and pleasure. Naruto's flames were so powerful they dominated her. That literally turned her on because of spring. Yugito rolled her eyes at Matabi's antics. She weaved some hand signs. Fire style. Mouse hairball jutsu. She yelled. Naruto tried dodging but more mice were created and all of them kept following him. Naruto knew what would have happened and threw a water chakra-enforced katana at the mice, shredding the cloud of mice in an instant. Naruto flashed to his katana and went at Yugito. She realized what was going to happen and activated her tailed beast form. She started to fire off a bunch of flames and Naruto came up with an idea. Attractive male transformation jutsu. Naruto yelled. He transformed into himself, but 16 and hotter and more muscular and attractive. "Oh hey," he said in a deeper and more husky voice. Matabi immediately ran inside her container and Yugito fainted. Naruto poofed, looking all innocent like he did nothing. Onoki's jaw was dropped. The winner is Naruto Uzumaki," Onoki called. Everyone cheered. On the way back to the hidden leaf, Mito started yelling at her brother. "You know, even if you're older than me by 5 minutes, it doesn't mean you have to keep rubbing it in," Mito said. "With the way we act and our height difference, it sure looks like I'm a lot older," Naruto said, chuckling. Mito put on a pouting face. Naruto squished her cheeks and he swatted his hand away. "You know, without the seal on me, I would have probably messed up a lot and revealed who we were," Mito said. Naruto chuckled and the two kept walking. On the way, they stopped by a town in the land of waves. Naruto gave Mito money and told her to check in for him while he went to check something. Naruto then saw a man getting beaten by a bunch of men while he was tied to a post. He was also being beaten in front of all of the village inside of a cage. Naruto was mad. He jumped over the fence and ran to save the man. The villagers were yelling at him to stop. Naruto heard what the man said. "Remember, protect this place with your 2 arms," he said as he closed his eyes. Naruto saw the sword move down and he would have been too late. But he knew what he had to do. He revealed something he swore he wouldn't until a lot later. He activated his Sharingan. "Kamui!" he yelled. The katana was sent to an alternate dimension. Naruto then slipped into a stance. The first thing he did was slide to the tied-up man, who he untied and threw over the fencing to the villagers, who caught him safely. Naruto then made several clones and all pulled out Hiraishin kunai. They all threw their respective kunai in sync as one. Each kunai hit someone. The Narutos all teleported to each kunai and took out several of the thugs. The short man who looked to be in charge of everything quickly pressed a button and a door opened under him, and he disappeared. "Damn, they escaped," Naruto yelled. Naruto left the enclosed area and all of the villagers bowed to him. "Thank you for saving Kaiza," they all said in sync. Naruto looked at them for a bit, before realizing why he was important. "He is this village's hero, isn't he?" Naruto said with a gentle smile. The villagers nodded. Kaiza stepped forward, still in a lot of pain. "Thank you for saving me. I had no hope for living left," Kaiza said. Naruto gestured for him to come forward, which Kaiza did. Naruto smiled and pulled out his katana, before piercing Kaiza's shoulder. All of the villagers gasped in surprise and a kid came to attack him when Kaiza stopped him. He was fine. The villagers were confused. "I stabbed him to do 2 things. Heal him, and give him access to chakra," Naruto said. Kaiza looked confused before he handed Kaiza a sealing tag. Press this on the ground to give all of the children of this village access to their chakra, Naruto said. Kaiza nodded and all of the children obtained exponential chakra levels. Naruto knew only 2 kids weren't affected, himself and Mito. Now, Naruto yelled out to the crowd. Meet me at the town square tomorrow. This is just for the children. But adults are welcome too. Naruto called out. They all nodded before dispersing. Mito then came running up to Naruto. Hey, Ni-san, Mito called. Yes, Imouto? Naruto asked. There wasn't a receptionist at the front desk. She said, panicked. Don't worry, I just got the crowd here dispersed. We can check now, Naruto said. Mito nodded before realizing what she said. Damn it, Naruto baka. Mito yelled since she called Naruto, Ni-san. Naruto and Mito got a room for free. Naruto knew about the problems of the area based on the clothes of even the nobles and gave the hotel an extra 20,000 yen. They bowed and Mito and Naruto got their room. Mito, I gave this village access to chakra. Want to help me train them with basic exercises? Naruto asked. Mito nodded and the two slept in their separate futons. The next day Mito and Naruto went out to the town square. The citizens brought tables with as much food as they could bring in honor of Naruto. Naruto sighed. Pack up the food and take it to home quickly. Then we can start this exercise, Naruto said. The villagers nodded and split it equally before coming back, now with food in their houses. Naruto opened a scroll. He poured chakra into it and food came out all over the table. The villagers' eyes widened. The food Naruto made was way better than they could ever prepare. They all dug in and the children ate more full than ever before. After a couple of hours, all of the food was cleared out from the villagers eating them. Naruto smiled. Good, now we can begin, Naruto said. He looked out at a clearing in the center. Can I use this land? Naruto asked. The villagers nodded and Naruto used wood style to make a building, making sure to tell his sister he learned how to use wood style. She promised not to tell. The kids all ran in, seeing the wood making the sign, the academy. Naruto walked in and they separated the kids into the group to learn and the group that wanted to become shinobi. They all had water-style affinities, just like Mito had. Mito taught them all the water wall, water bullet, and water knight jutsu. They were all able to make walls of water, water bullets for range, and water knights for water armor and water swords. Then Naruto taught the one who didn't have any chakra taijutsu. Mito taught all of the kids how to do basic taijutsu. The basics of Naruto's third taijutsu meant to teach others called the snake kitsune taijutsu style. Naruto taught the kid how to use intense taijutsu in one day since he gave them all enhancement seals that lasted for one day. At the end of the day, the kids, who ranged from 10 to 14, were all ready to defend the people. The younger ones weren't ready to learn and the older ones weren't considered children. Now remember, any children you make will have the power of chakra, so be ready for that, Mito said. The students all got off of the floor and bowed. Thank you, Mito and Naruto-sensei, they all said. Naruto and Mito waved them off. As long as you learned something. But remember, like Mito said, when you make children they gain the power of chakra. But remember, when the younger ones grow up, teach them. And here, Naruto said, tossing each of them a list of jutsus from low D to high C rank jutsus of all kinds, as well as the steps to do them. I made a lot of those since those are basic. It isn't considered an achievement but you might learn a high-level jutsu, but here, Naruto said, giving them another scroll of up to B rank jutsus of all kinds. Study and learn these, then teach them to the next generation, Naruto said. The students nodded and bowed. Thank you Naruto-sensei, Naruto waved them off. Now, back to sparring, you know the drill. Everyone except for one of you spars together. The one who doesn't have a partner, go against the taijutsu kid. Mito will oversee your spars. Naruto said. Mito looked at her brother with curiosity. I need to take care of Gato, Naruto told her. She nodded and looked back at the students doing their jutsus to practice. All of them were also reading on more jutsus. Naruto was ninja jumping to where his chakra tracker told him Gato and his thugs would be. Naruto jumped down in front of a mansion and saw several guards patrolling the area. Naruto made several shadow Hiraishin kunai and threw them all over the mansion. He Hirai shined to each of the different marks and sliced and diced at every person in the area. All of the guards fell dead. Naruto then Hirai shined into the room where he threw his kunai, which was a bedroom. Naruto found a slip of paper with the words, "Vault Password," on it. The password was 3175. Gato in keypad Naruto said to himself before running in every room. He found another site he did before and sighed. He walked in and all the women started moving to the back corner. Naruto laid out a scroll. "I'm here to save you, don't worry," Naruto told them. They all nodded and Naruto guided the first person's hand to touch the circle on the scroll. "Do what she did and you will all go in. This is a house seal, where you will be safe and given food and shelter," Naruto told them. Naruto saw a sight that really disgusted him. There were little girls there. They looked to still have purity though, but he saw hand marks, showing they would have been defiled if he hadn't come today. After the last girl got in, Naruto left with the scroll and went to Gato's room. Gato was sitting at his desk and looked up to see Naruto. "You again," Gato said, afraid. Naruto started walking towards him. "Please, I'll give you the money. Just let me go." "No, no, no," Gato yelled as Naruto slashed his neck. He opened the safe and saw piles and piles of money. He made 10,000 clones and they all sorted it and found out there were about 10 trillion yen in the vault. Naruto sealed all of it in a scroll of his and headed back. After Naruto got back, Mito just came back, looking hella Y in a skimpy bra and panties with short shorts. But hey, Naruto didn't think about Mito like that. "Mito!" Naruto yelled. Mito looked at her brother. "What?" she asked. "You know what, never mind. I'm just going to go to the bathhouse and clean my clothes," Naruto said. He left a clone to clean his clothes in the sink and he soaked in the bathhouse for a bit before getting his stuff and Hirai shined back to the hotel room bathroom. He got his clothes dried by hanging it and using wind style. Mito started banging on the door. "I need to use the bathroom, let me in, goddamn it," she yelled. Naruto got his now dry clothes on Sans shirt and walked out. Mito walked around her brother and went into the bathroom. Naruto was drying his shirt and heard the sound of trickling for the entire 5 minutes he was super drying his clothes. He put all his clothes back on and heard Mito washing her hands before she walked out. "We need sleep for the trip home tomorrow, so get a lot of it," Naruto told her. Mito nodded and the two slept for a while. Naruto and Mito woke up at noon, feeling really refreshed. Naruto told Mito to get out of her current clothing and into something more suitable so they could go. Mito pulled on a crop top and slightly more appropriate shorts. Naruto sighed. "That'll do, I guess," Naruto said. The two started walking calmly home. On the way, Mito asked Naruto questions about how it felt being in the arena. Naruto told her in great detail about the experiences. "You know, I learned medical ninjutsu from books," Naruto told her. "Really?" Mito asked. Naruto nodded and handed her his own book which he wrote for medical shinobi called, "Better Medical Knowledge and How to Defend Yourself. Medics Must Read," and Mito looked at it in surprise. "Isn't this the book that always sells out and the rack is always empty whenever we go to check it out?" Mito said in surprise. Naruto nodded. Mito gave her brother a hug and Naruto returned it. Eventually, the two returned to Konoha. The two waved at Izumo and Katetsu, who waved with a smile at the two. "See, I told you they would get back today," Izumo said, slapping Katetsu's back. Katetsu was reading another one of Naruto's works, Devil's Mountain, A Tale of Two Shinobi, and Naruto nodded. Katetsu realized something. "Wait, Naruto," he yelled. Naruto turned. "Yeah?" he asked. "Can you sign my book for me?" he asked. Naruto nodded and gave him his autograph and the 2 other volumes after it. "Yes," he yelled as he immediately opened the second book. The second and third book were always so hard to get. Naruto and Mito both made it to the Hokage's office and Naruto submitted his report before the duo went their separate ways and went home. Skip 3 months. Naruto had been in Anbu for 2 months now since the Hokage deemed his ability to defeat the Two Tails and its Jinchuriki was considered a great feat, even if it was done in questionable ways. He was immediately deemed as an Anbu captain for taking out a tailed beast on his own. The others assigned to the 10-year-old squad was mad until Naruto beat all of them in an 8 versus 1, his squad versus him. His Anbu respected him. Naruto was coming back from a rescue and assassination mission because his name became feared among rapists. He was called the Masked Kitsune. Naruto was tree jumping back to the village and was wondering why he accepted the job. He knew what he needed to do and was continuously training, working, eating, and sleeping. He also took 2 weeks off to spend time with Mito since she was trying to get away from Natsumi screaming. Naruto trained Mito with stuff as much as he could and left a clone at his house in case Mito came by. He also made sure to make a clone every morning after getting rid of the first one. Naruto arrived at the Hokage's office and took a seat in front of Hiruzen's desk. "Naruto, I'm sure you are confused as to why you were summoned here, correct?" Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded, a slight look of confusion on his face. "Well, you're not just the greatest shinobi in this village, but the greatest prodigy too. So I feel with the experience you've gained over the years, it's time you be promoted to Anbu head captain," Hiruzen said. Naruto held up his hand. "Hokage-sama, as honored as I am, I wish for something different. May I get head Anbu captain on my record, but go to a Jonin elite?" Naruto asked. Hiruzen nodded, knowing Naruto wanted bragging rights to being the best prodigy in the leaf but wanted to help train his sisters more. So Naruto ninja jumped home. "Hey Mito," Naruto said. Mito looked towards the door. "Hey, what are you doing back so early?" she asked. Naruto told her about what happened in the Hokage's office. "Wow, you're so cool," she said with stars in her eyes. She then told Naruto about how annoying Sakura was since she sat next to Sasuke because she had to. "Mito, Sasuke and Sakura may be annoying, but I want to help you with something else entirely," Naruto said. He then took out his kunai and flicked it at the door, before teleporting to it and catching it before it hit the wall. "The Hiraishin," she said. Naruto nodded. He sat her down and for the next month leading up to the Genin exams, she was taught and learned how to master the Hiraishin. 1 month later, Naruto was walking to the Hokage's office. He was going to talk to the Sandame since he was given an extra 3 months, so right before the Chunin exams. Naruto walked up and saw Kakashi complaining. "But I can't teach a bunch of kids. Even if it's Obito's clansman and Minato sensei's son. Anko just gave birth to our kid too," Kakashi said. Naruto then came in through the window. "I'll take your place, Kakashi," Naruto said. Kakashi's eyes widened. "Really?" he said incredulously. Naruto nodded. "You are the father to my sensei's child, so it's the least I can do," Naruto said. Kakashi nodded and Hiruzen gave the okay. Kakashi then left to go home so he could chill with his wife and son. "Little world, isn't it?" "Hokage-sama," Naruto said, taking a seat in the chair opposite of the Hokage. The two started conversing with each other about other stuff and how he was planning to retire. Naruto groaned when Hiruzen told him he had to attend a council meeting since he was teaching Sasuke Uchiha. "That demon brat can't teach Sasuke Uchiha." Mebuki Haruno screamed. She was the 5th person to yell that out and Naruto got sick and tired of their attitude. He looked towards Hiruzen for permission to speak, and he nodded. "Listen here you wrinkly old saggy balls from the civilian council. If you can all beat me in a fight, then I'll step down. But you're just screeching your hearts out and telling our great Hokage I can't teach the Uchiha. But not only am I perfectly qualified, but you also cannot volunteer anyone else, as they all have problems or family issues, you can't even do it yourself, and worst of all, you were assembled by Lord Third. Say, a shinobi head here, was to argue against me training him, then I would take them seriously for the most part. But you have no proper bloodline social status besides being in the civilian council. The Hokage could disband you all in an instant but lets you stay to be fair with the civilians. Now tell me, can you even do half of the shit I can do?" Naruto asked. "Now listen here young man, you do not speak that way to anyone on this council as we can get you kicked out of this village and in." Before she could finish, Naruto her eye shined behind her. "Instant?" he asked, a grin on his face. Mebuki had a face filled with fear, as Naruto had a katana pressed against her jugular. "He's a demon," one fat merchant yelled. "Get him," another civilian man said. Naruto made a half seal and 2 clones appeared to guard him. Naruto then spoke out to all of them. "Let it be known, I will teach my team however I wish, and the civilian council is not able to counter my arguments. I'm sure the shinobi side is fine with me making my own decisions for training them, right?" Naruto asked, giving sharp glances to each of the shinobi heads, who nodded because they knew he was right. "Good, will I be getting my team tomorrow?" Naruto was now sitting at a dango stand, eating several plates. He was also drinking some Earl Grey tea. He was thinking about what he did when he felt the bench he was on move. He saw Anko and Kakashi had taken seats next to him, along with Anko's child. "Can I help you three?" Naruto asked, bored. Anko nodded at Kakashi, who started. "I wanted to thank you for." Naruto stopped him. "For taking your place so you could care for your family blah blah blah," Naruto said, and Anko and Kakashi's child repeated the blah blah blah. Naruto looked at the baby, who stared at him back. Naruto sighed. "Anyway, I wouldn't want you to have to care for 4 kids. After all, I had crap parents who only decided to come back 2 years ago, but refused to even attempt to visit me. I suppose I got to give it to them though. I'm pretty sure they were going to have talked to me more but respected my need for privacy," Naruto said. "Anyway, I just didn't want to have another kid suffer as I did. Anyway, you can finish the dango and tea I still have coming. I have the payment on the table for when you're ready to pay too," Naruto said. "Naruto." Anko called out to him. Naruto turned around. "Thanks," she said. Naruto smiled back. "It's no problem, sensei," and with that, Naruto shunshined to eat Shiraku ramen. "Naruto, do you have the recipe?" Tucci asked. Naruto nodded and handed him a slip of paper. "I suggest you add 2 grams of sugar and 1 pinch of salt. It may work better for the dango," Naruto said. The two shook hands and Tucci gave Naruto a bag of yen. "Have a good day," Tucci said. Naruto was given a mission to reverse engineer the dango so Tucci could open up to more customers. Naruto gave him some of the payment he got from Gato and Tucci was able to make a fancy-looking restaurant, with a plant box having his name engraved on it for being a top donator and allowing them to make the place a restaurant and not just a stand. He also gave them a diet recipe to use that both tasted good, gave you enough nutrients, made eating it twice a day required for it to work, and also kept well for ninja on the go. Tucci was getting his money from females dieting, the ninja males trying it for challenges, and the Hokage was requesting it for missions that required travel. Naruto then shunshined to the academy building and walked in. "And the final team is still in circulation," Naruto heard Iruka say. Naruto then kicked down the door. "Yo," he said. The class looked at him in surprise. "Naruto?" they all asked, surprised. "Yo. I'm here for my Imouto, Duckbutt, and the Banshee," Naruto said. The class snickered at the nicknames. "Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. We're going to introduce ourselves," Naruto said. Mito grumbled in annoyance. "I swear, he's older than me by 5 minutes. If he doesn't stop he's going to seriously." Mito started and Naruto appeared behind her. "Care to finish that?" he asked. She froze in place. "Good, now get to the rooftop like a good girl," he finished patting her head. She grumbled profanities but walked up to meet Naruto since Naruto taught her a lot of stuff. She was sitting on the roof with a dango box and eating dango while they waited for the other two. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right as the clock signified 10 minutes had passed, the Banshee and the Duckbutt came in. "Okay, introduce yourselves." "Man, I wish he taught you were here," Naruto said, looking into the sky. "He would be disappointed," he said before he chuckled. "Go on, Banshee, introduce yourself," Naruto said. "Well, why don't you do it first, sensei, to show us how it's done," Sakura said. Mito laughed. "Ahahahahaha, why do you need sensei to demonstrate to us how to introduce ourselves, you idiot?" Mito said. Sakura got up to Mito but was bitch slapped by Naruto. While what Mito said wasn't nice, for one it wasn't exactly uncalled for, and two, you never raise a hand to your teammate, Naruto said. "Stop bossing us around, Naruto," Sakura yelled. She tried to hit Naruto like she used to but Naruto caught her fist and threw her into a tree. "I'm stronger than the first person who would have been your Jonin sensei, heck, I'd even go as far as to say I'm stronger than the current Hokage. Do not mess with me," Naruto said. He released a small amount of killer intent and Sakura started whimpering, which made Mito laugh even harder and even Sasuke snickered. "That's literally less than what Mito can do, and you're already whimpering like a dog," Sasuke snorted. "Enough," Naruto said. "Meet me at Training Ground 7 at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. We will do the Genin test there." Naruto was about to shunshin away when Sakura asked the question. "But sensei, didn't we already pass the Genin test?" Sakura asked. "No, you passed the preliminaries, shall we say. The actual test is tomorrow. Also, don't eat anything, or else you'll throw up," Naruto said before grabbing Mito's hand and shunshunning to his house. No incest comments. Oh, by the way, there will be Mito x Naruto, but it's a harem story and you'll see how in a second. Naruto was relaxing in his house with Mito in her room reading the level 3 Fuinjutsu scroll Naruto gave her since she liked the other two. Naruto then heard a knock on the door. Captain Kitsune, since you were an ex-captain, you're requested to watch over the Hokage initiation ceremony, Mako stated. Naruto nodded, it's fine, you go. Let's get going. Plus, I'm not your captain anymore, so you don't need to call me that, Naruto said. He grabbed his Kitsune mask and started to head out when Mito came down. Naru, she yelled. Can I come? Naruto sighed. Sure, why not, he said. And the two went off. Mito was watching and so was Naruto as their father was reinstated as Hokage, and he came down to watch as the hat was passed to his father again because he was an Anbu head captain that resigned but was still alive and not above 40 yet, so he could watch. My first decree as Hokage is that you be fair to Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Minato yelled out to the crowd. They started to protest until they heard the Namikaze part, and they all gasped. Naruto let one tear go out. His father made his first decree, which was considered very important, about him being treated fairly. He chuckled. He, the royal Kitsune of Konoha, was shedding a tear because he didn't have to endure the pain in his own home, even though he was an Anbu. Kitsune, Minato called. Naruto came to attention. I wish to speak to you in my office, Minato said. Naruto nodded and the two went into the Hokage's office. Look, Naruto. I know I'm already not on your good side, but can you do your best to help out Mito? I know she looks up to you but sometimes she disappears and we thought she was visiting you but denied it every time. We wanted to respect your need for space but we also wanted to know where Mito was, but can you do me the favor? Minato asked. Naruto nodded. Of course, father, Naruto said. Minato heard the father part the loudest. He started crying. Thank you, he said. Naruto looked confused. Why? He asked. For finally accepting me as your father, he said. Naruto nodded. I understand what you were doing, training Mito in case I went rogue, but you're both a seal master and a horrible teacher because I taught a lot of stuff to Mito already when she found my two-story house one time, Naruto said. Minato looked shocked. So that's where she's been going? He asked. Yeah, it's funny too since it was a complete accident. Here's the address. Naruto gave him a slip of paper that said 10 kilometers from the west entrance to training ground 44. I am allowed to stay there, right? Naruto asked. Minato nodded. Great, I'll see you whenever you knock. Now I got a test to get ready for, those genin aren't going to pass themselves. Naruto was sitting at the Kia rock when he ran into Kakashi. Here for Rin? Because I am, Naruto said. How did you know? Kakashi said, though he already knew. Also, I regret not telling you sooner, but I have a gut feeling Obito is alive, Naruto said. Kakashi looked at Naruto, before what he said hit him fully. What? He said loudly. Think about it, the body wasn't recovered, his blood wasn't even spilled there, and when I went to check with permission from Hokage-sama, I couldn't even find dirt that would be there if his body decomposed. I think he's still alive, Naruto said. But if he's still alive, where would he be? Kakashi asked. And what makes you think it wasn't a grave robber or something? Kakashi said. Well, think of it, Kakashi, Obito's other side was crushed, meaning his other Sharingan might have been if it weren't for someone saving him at the right moment, Naruto said. Also, I can use a jutsu that would put me in a coma for days on end to bring back your dead teammates, Naruto stated. Kakashi's eyes widened and Naruto waved him off. I've made my team wait long enough, so I'm going to go to them now, Naruto said. Naruto landed in the clearing to Sakura screaming, "You're late." And Naruto sighed. Ma. So this test is a bell test, you need to take these bells from me, Naruto said, holding up 2 bells since he figured if he used 2 bells it would make them not work together. Naruto and Minato had the same mindset and Naruto didn't take the idea from Minato and fight each other. But sensei, there are only 2 bells. Sakura yelled. I don't care. Now, begin. Naruto yelled. He reached into his pouch and the 3 looked at him warily, watching for what he pulled out. Naruto, being a kid, pulled out his other best-selling series, The Misadventures of Naruto Uzumaki of Konohagakure. He was reading his own autobiography but more exciting. He always loved reading that set of stories. Well, I'm waiting, Naruto said to himself. Why are you reading that? Sakura yelled. Naruto gave her a deadpan look. To figure out what happens next, of course, Naruto responded. He kept reading and Sakura charged, thinking she would prove how Naruto was still the dead last. Naruto gave her a deadpan look and put her in an F-rank genjutsu. All it did was bring her worst nightmare to life, but it was really easy to detect and made it so it required basically no chakra. Sakura couldn't even break out of it. Naruto sighed and went to look for the other two. He found Mito hiding in a bush, watching the clone he sneakily replaced himself with. He snuck behind her and smacked her ass, sending her flying out of the bush. "Ahahahahaha," Naruto said, laughing like crazy. Mito was fuming and went to hit Naruto but got thrown into the river nearby. Sasuke threw several shurikens at Naruto, who caught them all on his katana. Sasuke started running, knowing he revealed his position. Naruto intercepted Sasuke and Sasuke tried using his fireball jutsu. Naruto used a water wall and used headhunter jutsu to bring him into the ground. Mito came out of the now ankle-deep water. She was so mad the river evaporated from the heat of her face from getting smacked in the butt. "Get over here, you fishcake," Mito yelled. Naruto appeared. "Goodbye," Naruto said. Mito caught the punch Naruto sent at her. She then went toe-to-toe with Naruto while he was reading his book for a bit, meaning Naruto was using half of his body weight to block, dodge, and deflect. Naruto then kicked her side before punching her cheek, sending her flying. Mito then scrambled away, realizing the purpose of the test. "Running away?" Naruto asked. Mito bit her tongue as she snuck through the woods. She found Sakura and dragged her near Sasuke. She then released the genjutsu and had a clone pull up Sasuke at the same time. "Guys, we need to work together. Think about it, we're just genin. We can't take on Naruto yet," she said. The other two nodded. "Okay, so here's the plan," Mito said. Naruto was out in the open, laying down and reading his book when Mito came running out. Naruto looked in her direction and she was pinned by a clone who was made if it broke she would be sealed. Sasuke came running out next and threw the clone into a tree, sealing the tree. Sasuke then grabbed Mito and threw her at Naruto, kunai in hand. Naruto raised his kunai and caught the tip with the hole in his kunai and twisted it out of her hand. Sakura ran in from Naruto's book side, where he would have to put away the book. Naruto sighed. Sakura went low, so he just kicked her away. Sasuke then came in when he wasn't looking and got flung at Sakura before Mito got one bell and jumped back. Sasuke and Sakura knew that was their cue to cover Mito as she ran. Mito made a clone to guard the first bell and Mito came out to help the other two. Naruto realized what was going on and tried 0.5% harder. Naruto used one jutsu, wind style, area propelling, Naruto said. The three all went flying, and right as they hit the floor, the alarm rang. "Okay, since you failed to get the bells, I'll let Sasuke and Mito eat." However, Sakura goes without food, Naruto said, knowing about the diet. Sakura groaned, knowing that meant she starved herself for the entire day. Naruto left and Mito and Sasuke started eating. They both heard Sakura's stomach grumble. "Hey Sasuke, you should give Sakura your food because she won't want me feeding her," Mito said. "But why would my precious Sasuke do that? He'll get himself failed," Sakura yelled. "Fine, I'll feed you. The purpose of this test is teamwork, so eat it," Mito said. Sasuke started feeding Sakura and Mito offered food but as she thought, Sakura only ate from Sasuke's chopsticks. "You," Naruto yelled. "Why did you disobey my instructions?" Naruto yelled. "We're a team," Mito yelled. "Yeah, we work together," Sakura yelled. Sasuke nodded. "They're right. We're a team," he said. "Good, now we can start going on missions," Naruto said. "However, since you're on the team of the greatest prodigy in Konoha, we're going to be taking a C-rank mission first." Naruto exclaimed happily, causing the others to groan. "Let's get going," Naruto told his group. He requested a very specific mission, a killing mission. It was to get killing someone out of the way. They were going to do what Naruto's first training mission was. Stop bandits who took over a small city. Naruto did some scouting beforehand and figured that worst-case scenario, Mito could hear Ishin for all of them to take out the bandits. "Alright team, it's your job to eliminate every last one of these bandits and take in the leader for questioning." The leader is said to be a Chunin-level shinobi, but nothing a full team of genin can't handle. I will watch in case you need backup, but otherwise, you are required to kill all of them, Naruto told them. Sasuke smirked. This will be too easy. I bet I could take on the strongest shinobi in the leaf right now. He exclaimed arrogantly. So you can beat me? Naruto shot back through the mic. Anyways, just go, he said with a bored tone. Naruto kicked down the gate and saved civilians while Mito and Sasuke were fighting. Sakura was sitting in the back and being useless. Mito had taken down the 83rd bandit on her own. She wiped her brow of any sweat before continuing forward. Sasuke had killed his 81st bandit. He was tired as hell from all of the slaying he was doing. Sakura killed one guy, as she expected, for Sasuke to save her. Mito scoffed at Sakura's mentality before going back to killing. It's like they never fucking end. Sasuke said, "You, tell me how you're not tired yet. I demand to know your secrets." Sasuke yelled, pointing at Mito. "God damn, you're so annoying, I'm about to beat your ass into the floor," Mito said, gritting her teeth in frustration. Sasuke was right about one thing though, and it was that the bandits seemed never ending. She was so frustrated about them that she shinned and killed the ones assembling at the door. "Well, what are you waiting for?" she called. The two shook out of it and Sasuke jumped on Sakura. "Go on, bitch, be my horse and get me in there," Sasuke yelled. Sakura nodded, willing to do anything for her Sasuke. "She's an idiot," Naruto thought as he continued to watch them. "God damn it, where is He?" Mito yelled after having killed her 216th bandit. She was pissed that she had killed so many in the seemingly small village and couldn't find a single guy. She heard heavy panting and saw Sakura running towards her with Sasuke on her back. "Good job, my horse. You may rest now, but keep up," Sasuke told Sakura. Mito snickered and Sakura gave her a look. "Now you, red hair, be my horse," Sasuke told Mito. Mito gave him a deadpan look. "What, you dare not listen to me?" Sasuke yelled. "I'll show you what I dare to do," Mito said. She started walking towards Sasuke when he did a substitution with Sakura. She cried since Sasuke was proving she was useful. The three kept going on until they arrived in front of a room, which Sasuke kicked down the door to. "I come to challenge you," he yelled like he was Ash from Pokemon challenging a gym. "So Konoha sent a bunch of brats, huh? Yokota couldn't get the job done right, so they told me to do it," the man who donned an Iwa headband stated. Mito gasped. "Yokota Ojisan?" Mito muttered to herself. She remembered his story about the mission. She realized what she had to do and Naruto knew too. He wanted Mito to gain some skill. He grabbed Sasuke and Sakura and knocked both of them out, before watching Mito go against someone of a high Chunin level. Mito watched the Iwa shinobi. She had an Anbu katana, I forgot what it was called, and a Hiraishin kunai. The Iwa shinobi pulled out a full-length bulky sword that was almost as large as the executioner's blade. He hefted it in his hand and launched himself at Mito. Mito raised her special kunai and blocked the strike. Mito then separated her arm and made a jab at the larger Chunin shinobi. Mito threw the Hiraishin kunai at the Iwa Chunin, making him swat it away, not thinking about the consequences. He charged and was about to hit Mito when she disappeared in a red flash. "Who are you?" the Iwa Chunin said in surprise. "I'll let you live if you tell people the power of the red flash of Konoha. Almost as powerful as the famed Shadow Hokage of the Leaf, the Black Kitsune," Mito exclaimed proudly. The guy nodded and ran for his life. Naruto jumped down. "Still got a long way to go before you can beat me, sis," Naruto smirked, ruffling her hair. She stuck her tongue out at him and Naruto teasingly kissed her, "Since, you know, the ship isn't here yet." She blushed bright red and slapped his shoulder. "Don't do that," she exclaimed. "Geez, can't take a joke, can you?" Naruto said. Naruto then picked up Sakura. "She's delusional and I used to like her, Jesus. But I owe it to my old self to at least help her out. We can kick Sasuke back to the village," Naruto said. Mito nodded and started kicking Sasuke all the way to the village. "Wait, Mito," Naruto said to her. "What is it, Naruto?" Mito asked, seeing something was wrong. "Here's my special transit kunai. Use this and go to Dad's office. He should be there right now. Tell him that the organization Jiraiya told him about was here," Naruto said. Mito nodded, grabbed Sasuke and Sakura, and Hiraishin to the Hokage's office. "Father!" Mito yelled. Minato immediately snapped to attention. knowing it was serious if he was being called father. What is it, Mito? Minato asked. Naruto told me to tell you that the organization some dude called Jiraiya told you about was becoming active and after him. Mito said before collapsing from the exhaustion of Hirayishining 3 people. Minato smiled. Mito had enough chakra to do a 3-person Hirayishin now. But he wondered why Naruto didn't come back himself. Minato sighed. Anbu. He called out. Dog, cat, weasel, and crow appeared, kneeling down. Look and support Naruto Uzumaki in his fight against the organization known as the Akatsuki. Protect him like you would protect your own. You would know, dog, Minato pointed out to a man with gravity-defying hair and a Sharingan eye. He nodded and the 4 left to assist Naruto. I don't even know why I did that. Naruto even knows he's probably stronger than me. And according to what Naruto sent me after the mission, Mito even made a name for herself called the Red Flash of Konoha. Not as good as me, of course, Minato chuckled to himself. Naruto waited and saw the prodigy of the Uchiha clan and the tail-less beast of the mist and a previous ninja of the 7 ninja swordsmen. Naruto slipped into a stance. Kisame Hoshigaki, the tail-less beast of the mist and wielder of Samahata. And you, Itachi Uchiha, the kinslayer of Konohagakure, Naruto stated. Kisame chuckled. This kid's good, he said. Be careful, Kisame. It said Naruto is a bigger prodigy than even I, having a straight promotion from academy student to Chunin because of his capabilities and jutsu range. It's also said that he invented over 1,000 jutsu, all besides 8 being below the rank of A, Itachi said, looking at Naruto cautiously. The 2 ran at Naruto, knowing it would take their full force to subdue him when Naruto realized something. No matter how strong he was, he needed his Rinnegan and Sharingan. Naruto closed his eyes, unintentionally bringing in nature chakra by standing still. He felt his senses sharpen and his eyes tingled with power. He opened them and both men flinched slightly. Naruto had activated both of his dojutsu, but Hagoromo realized something. Since the Uzumaki clan was from him and his brother making a chimera with each other and one woman, making a special human known as the Uzumaki. Naruto was one, and as such, he had the Byaku Sharingan. Whoa, this is different, Naruto said. He had the Byaku Sharingan and the Rinnegan with perfect sage eyes. His Byaku Sharingan had a pure eternal Mangekyo Byaku Sharingan. He also activated a special thing he called the Naruto Chakra Cloak. Okay, so quick note here. Imagine Naruto with the Truthseeker orbs and his KCM1, but instead of orange, it's the same blue as his chakra is normally shown as, and the black areas are white instead. Naruto activated his yin-yang jutsus. Naruto made one Truthseeker orb mold around his shadow katana, making it a Truthseeker katana. He readied his katana and Kisame went first. Naruto deflected with his katana, sucking all of the chakra out of Samahata. Naruto jumped back and brandished his katana again. Ever heard of the Red Death of Konoha? Naruto asked. Kisami's eyes widened. She beat us all and let us live, but why ask? Kisame asked. Because I am her son. Naruto yelled. He flashed in front of Kisame and sliced upward. Kisame recognized the move and realized he would lose the exact same way. Last time, he had the entirety of the 7 ninja swordsmen fighting with him. This time, he had Itachi. Itachi watched carefully, before jumping at Naruto, kunai drawn. Naruto smirked and activated his yin-yang release. It created a shadow spear. Itachi's kunai met the spear and Naruto pushed his katana off of Samahata. He sheathed the kunai and held the spear with both hands. The end of the spear bent into a scythe, rotating on a blue chakra orb. Naruto swiped the scythe at Itachi, who jumped back. Naruto closed his eyes, feeling all of the Kisame clones closing in on him. He opened his eyes and used his own form. He had the spear, scythe mix weapon in mind for years and made an entire fighting style for it. Scythe slashing, first form, swinging scythe wheel. Naruto yelled. All of the clones that jumped at Naruto dissipated into water, before evaporating. Naruto smirked. Scythe slashing, second form, tele-step. Naruto yelled. He seemingly teleported in front of Itachi and stabbed at his body. Naruto then used his Rinnegan eye and replaced himself with a small air molecule a couple of meters away from him. Naruto detected people coming and deactivated everything he activated and continued fighting the two. He was winning still. Itachi got behind Naruto, who realized the Itachi he stabbed was a clone. Naruto mixed lightning chakra into his kunai and threw it behind him, hearing a thud as it hit Itachi. Naruto kicked away Kisame and grabbed Itachi. He whispered to Itachi, "Let me help you. I know you're still loyal to the leaf too," he said. He held his hands over Itachi's eyes and took them out, before putting them in a jar. Itachi got 2 new eyes that wouldn't make him blind and gave him the Kamui ability as well as the Amaterasu. Itachi nodded. "Thanks," he whispered back before pretending to faint. Naruto knew why he did and pretended to try and kill him. Kisame kicked away Naruto, grabbed Itachi, and ran off. "Don't pursue them," Naruto said, on one knee. "They would have beat me if it weren't for the fact Itachi was injured. Kisame had to get him to make sure I didn't kill one of their most valuable assets." Naruto finished and he fell over. He wasn't exhausted because of fighting, but from replacing and giving Itachi pure Sharingan eyes. Naruto woke up in a hospital. He saw her asleep on his lap, which was under the blanket. Naruto thought of something mischievous. He knew that she hated it, so he slapped her ass. "Ah, Naruto!" she yelled immediately. Then she paused. "Wait, Naruto!" Mito yelled as she tackled Naruto in a hug. "Hey, Mito!" Naruto chuckled as he patted her back. She got off of him. "Remember what you said about meeting Dad and Mom? Well, that's an hour from now. I'll tell them to come," Mito told him. Naruto nodded. He checked out of the hospital and Hirish went home. He changed into his clothes and got food ready for the meeting with his parents and his new sister. Naruto opened the door and Minato and Kushina came in, Mito tailing them with her younger sister in a basket. "Take a seat. I'll have food ready in a minute," he said with a smile on his face as he went to the back. Naruto poured his special super spicy ramen into 3 bowls and 1 spicy ramen into another bowl, as well as a special ramen formula. He came out with all of the food and handed it out. Mito immediately dug in. "Still hungry as ever, huh, Mito?" Naruto chuckled. Mito's face turned bright red and she scoffed, before continuing to chow down. Kushina smelled it once and dug in too. Her face came up with stars in her eyes, "So good." She yelled. She kept eating. Minato was interested. While Kushina's was bright red, his was what he preferred, an average proper ramen color. He dug in and understood why Kushina liked it so much. "And remember how I said Natsumi came in through a basket? I was lying. She was on Mito's back and now sitting in a baby chair." "Why do you have a baby chair, Naruto?" Kushina asked. "I just thought I would need it for when you guys came here. After all, I don't think your Uzumaki genes will let you lay off of, you know," Naruto said. Kushina blushed bright red, knowing someone was onto her. Minato chuckled. "Someone smart," he said. Naruto chuckled and kept eating. Natsumi was chugging bottle after bottle of the baby formula. The older ones were all drinking tea. They all talked and joked like family. Eventually, everyone was yawning on the couch. "You can all sleep here. Dad, make a clone to go to the office for your work tomorrow. You two can take the bedroom on the far left. If you need to release some, you know what, there are built-in silencing seals. I'll take care of Natsumi and Mito's been here before. There's a bathroom for that bedroom, mine, and the one Mito usually vacates." "Good night," Naruto called. The others nodded. Naruto made a clone he would rotate with to take care of Natsumi. Naruto woke up after a decent night of rest. His clone dispelled. He only got 4 hours of rest, but that was better than when he was on missions. He always kept a smile on his face to hide his own pain. "I'm checking my vital signs, drawing my battle lines, going to war again, feeling the rhythm inside of my chest. All I need is just a pen. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. Don't care for the critics. My words are like physics. A force that they can't stop. They just don't get it. I think they forget. I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this." Naruto started singing as he was making food. He was singing a song that reminded him of what a shinobi was because the terms were so familiar. Naruto finished breakfast and woke everyone up. He walked into his mom and dad's room and found them stripped naked with stuff everywhere. "Wake up!" Naruto yelled before slamming the door shut. Minato and Kushina shot awake, realizing Naruto saw them in all of their glory. The two had the decency to blush and went to take a shower. After everyone grabbed their food and was done eating, they all down at the living area joking around. Minato and Kushina were joking with Naruto about how he thought about using the cage bunshin before they did, and Naruto laughed along with them. Mito then came running down. Naruto, I finished the Fuinjutsu level 4 scroll you gave me. Can I test my abilities now? Mito half-asked half-whined. Minato and Kushina looked relatively surprised. Sure Mito, let's go outside for it. Mom, Dad, you two are welcome to watch, Naruto said. The two went outside and into Naruto's private on-property training grounds. Naruto tossed Mito a scroll and Mito started drawing. She made 5 circles around a centerpiece, which was the kanji for storage. She then connected each of the 5 circles with curved lines, making an overlapping circle. In each of the smaller 5 circles, she drew a kanji for each element. She then drew several smaller kanjis on the outer side of the bigger and smaller circles. She then placed her Fuinjutsu tools over it. Fuinjutsu art, explosive storage seal. Mito called out. The seal took in all of the stuff and exploded, leaving no trace of anything left. Minato, Kushina, and Naruto all clapped. Natsumi even tried to clap in her high chair, but her arms were a bit too short. Minato and Kushina were impressed with the thought, while Naruto knew where she got it from. Naruto made a page on an info destruction seal that made it so if you were about to be found out, you could explode the scroll as both a decoy and a way to get a note to someone with the same seal and the maker's blood on it. But Mito made the other version where anyone could use it. Mito then drew another scroll and the items she sealed away appeared, causing the 3 to clap again. Naruto came down and Mito gave Naruto the level 4 scroll. Naruto smiled and gave her the level 5 scroll. Your next test is at level 8, then you progress on your own since I'm a level 15 seal master. I will tell you when you reach a higher level, Naruto told her. Mito nodded and ran back up to her room and started reading the 5th scroll. Naruto always knew he was better at sealing than the average Uzumaki and the best in the village. But he never bragged about it. He smiled and looked at his family. He told them dinner was ready and they all sat down, eating and laughing. As you all know, we are hosting the Chunin exams, Minato stated. Well, I want to know who here nominates their team, the Jonin senseis nodded. I, Asuma Sarutobi, nominate Team 10 for the upcoming Chunin exams, Asuma stated. I, Kurenai Yuhi, nominate Team 8 for the upcoming Chunin exams, Kurenai said. I, Maida Guy nominate Team 9 for the upcoming Chunin exams. Maida Guy exclaimed, a bit too loudly. I, Naruto Uzumaki, nominate Team 7 for the upcoming Chunin exams, Naruto said, a bit more laid back. He was reading a book he was writing. He called the book, The Life of a Human Sacrifice, and was planning on making it a couple of books. Naruto smiled as he got to his favorite part, the son receiving the tanto his father left for him after his birth as a family heirloom. You can't let in a bunch of rookies. Iruka yelled. Chunin Amino, Naruto started, glaring at Iruka. We are the Jonin instructors of our Genin teams, and as such we decide whether to let them into the Chunin exams or not. Am I wrong? Naruto asked him. Iruka shook his head, trembling at the sliver of Naruto's killer intent. Good, he said. Naruto headed home and promptly collapsed, heading into his mindscape. Naruto trained in his mindscape and talked with the tailed beasts all the time about his life, but I never bothered to include it since it would have been an annoying filler. Naruto went in to talk to Kurama, Matabi, Shukaku, and Kakuo. Hello, he called. The 4 girls were the only ones awake since the guys just finished training and went to sleep. Hey Naru, they all called. Kakuo got up, her one moderately fluffy tail whipping around her nice ass, which bounced with every step she took. She went to grab the tea she started and they all started talking. Yes, Naruto gets shipped with every female in his mindscape. For future reference he dominates all of them. Matabi dragged Naruto into her room. Dominate me, she demanded from him. What? He asked, confused. Dominate my ass and show me who's the boss, she told him. Naruto realized what she meant and blushed. He did exactly that. He dominated her ass so hard without actually fucking that Matabi blushed at his skills. He was 10 and she was like 1,000 years old and she was dominated by him. Naruto sighed. Why did you ask me to do that, Tabi? Naruto asked. Because it's spring, she said. Naruto realized what Kurama meant all of those years ago. Oh, so that's what Kura-chan meant. Naruto trailed off, causing Matabi to giggle. Naruto left his mindscape. So how was it? Kurama asked. Matabi swirled her tail. He calmed down my urges. Without doing it with me, Matabi said. It seems I need a little taste myself, she said in a sultry tone, imagining all of the naughty things she would do in 6 or so years. Naruto told his team to meet him in a couple of hours and was waiting for his team to show up. The first to arrive was Sakura, who looked like she just ran away from someone. The next who came was Sasuke, who acted impatient as ever. Mito was the last one to arrive, sporting new clothes. She now wore a teal tank top with an armored sleeve vest. She also wore Anbu pants. She had Naruto's second tanto that he gave her. Naruto then jumped down. Good, you're all here. Now you may be wondering why you're here, but it's for a good reason. I allowed you guys entrance into the Chunin exams. And you all need to sign these forms so you can join, Naruto told them. Sasuke signed and so did Mito. You, pink-haired bitch, you better sign it, Sasuke told Sakura. Of course. Anything for my Sasuke, Sakura told him. She immediately signed it. Okay then, go to the academy 5 days from now to take the test, Naruto told them. The group nodded and all of them went home. The next day, Naruto was lounging in his home. He still heard snoring from Mito's room and saw it was 12 p.m. Naruto snuck into her room and forced Mito's body into a position where she was in a doggy position. She was still asleep somehow, so Naruto decided to just stick with squeezing her ass. She jumped up and squeaked in surprise. Finally you got up. You need to go grab groceries since you're staying here for a bit, Naruto told her. Mito nodded and went out to get ready. Still mad, Naruto squeezed her gluteus maximus. Mito was walking around when she heard Konohamaru bump into some guy. Hey runt, that hurt. You're going to pay. Mito rounded the corner and saw a guy in what looked like a catsuit wearing makeup holding up Konohamaru. Hey, girly boy, Mito yelled at the guy. My name's Kankuro, not girly boy. And what do you want? The guy sneered. I'm Mito. And I'm here to tell you to. Before Mito could finish, Naruto had grabbed Konohamaru and had his now Truthseeker katana at Naruto. So I never mentioned this, but the Truthseeker orb that cloaked his katana was quickly replaced, making it so he just had a Truthseeker katana. Naruto's Truthseeker katana was pressed against Kankuro's throat. Oh, and don't bother switching with your puppet either, it's already disabled and I gave myself a poison counter already, Naruto said. Kankuro gave off a TCH and dropped Konohamaru. Now, I assume you're here for the Chunin exams, don't start trouble, Naruto finished. Suddenly, Kankuro was hit with a pebble and the Uchiha jumped down. What's your name? The girl with 4 ponytails in the back asked. Sasuke Uchiha, Sasuke exclaimed. Temari scoffed. I wasn't talking to you, Temari said. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto stated. Temari nodded. Sakura came in. Why do you not want to know about the great Sasuke Uchiha? Sakura yelled. Because of that piece of eye candy, Temari said, nodding in Naruto's direction. Whatever, Miss Blonde Genin, Naruto said. What do you mean by that? Temari asked. I'm a Jonin and ex-Anbu head captain, Naruto said. Temari nodded and Kankuro let out a loud breath of relief. Naruto could have ended him instantly but didn't. Kankuro, you're a disappointment to the village, a female with bright red hair and a gourd on her back told Kankuro. Sorry Gaia, I didn't mean it. Gaia gave him a harsh glare. Shut up or I'll kill you, he said before looking at Naruto. Uzumaki, mother wants your blood, Gaia stated. Tell her I'll dominate her just like I did her sister, Naruto responded snarkily. He then looked straight his team. Okay guys, you got to get going. Naruto told them. Time skip. Sakura was being Sasuke's horse again since Sasuke got his ass handed to him. Mito got into the exam room and Kiba came up to them. Hey, Mito. Oh, did you guys know they call us the Rookie 9 since we are the only rookies this year? We're pretty awesome, Kiba exclaimed. I suggest you be quieter since you're drawing attention, a guy with white hair, glasses, and a Konoha headband stated. Well let them, Mito yelled. Suddenly, one group of Iwa shinobi gasped. Wait, you're the one Big Brother said to call, the Red Death of Konoha. One of them said. It seems I'm already well known she said with a smirk. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke yelled at them. trying to top Mito in who's more well known. "Oh, you're a part of that lame clan that died to one of its own," they said, easily dismissing him. Sasuke clenched his fists. His clan was known as the one who died to one of its own. He would prove to them that he was worthy. After telling people to not quit like a good leader, Ibiki Morino, the proctor of the first phase, ended the test. "Yes, I'm not going to write it. Based on the format of this story, it would be pure filler if I put it in. I promise I'm not being lazy." Mito turned her head to the window as it shattered. A woman came in. A sign dropped down saying, "A new parent and Y Anko Mitarashi," and a girl with purple hair came down. Looks like you let 26 teams pass, you're getting soft." Ibiki, Anko laughed maniacally. "I'll cut their numbers in half when I'm done with them," she said. Then her eyes locked on Mito, Sasuke, and Sakura. "Oh, you're ramen head students, huh?" Anko said. In reality, she was proud. Naruto trained to be a Hokage and he was already teaching brats his age. "Anyway, let's get going. Meet me at the Forest of Death in 5 minutes, Anko said. Mito remembered what Kabuto told them about the cards and went to visit Naruto. Naruto was at his desk doing Fuinjutsu research and experimentation on how to harness the power of his Koto Amatsukami and store it for later, since it took as much chakra as his fight with Itachi and Kisame, which drained him when he used both NCM and Sage Mode, which he only learned recently by asking Kura-chan about it. Naruto was still working on it when he heard Mito Hiraishin in. He gave Mito instructions and knew it had to be urgent. Before he knew it, Mito came slamming into his room. So Naruto shoved his scroll into that and quickly switched one random decoy paper he had on top. "What was that?" Mito asked curiously. "Nothing," Naruto said, chuckling. Mito nodded. Sure. Anyway, I think Kabuto Yakushi is a spy," Mito said. Naruto told Mito to sit and explain. Mito told him about all of the cards he had and how she saw a glimpse of his face when he was shuffling through his deck, and also having mission info on each card. Naruto nodded and sent a Hiraishin message to his dad. "I sent the message and..." "Wait, what are you doing?" Naruto yelled. Mito was poking through the drawer and came across the top decoy paper, which was a nude half-drawn diagram of the perfect female and how to make it with Fuinjutsu. "What the fuck is this?" Mito yelled. "Wait, Mito, you came across Jiraiya's paper," Naruto said quickly. Mito nodded, still suspicious. "Sure," she said. "Now go back and tell Anko-sensei I said hi." Naruto told her. Mito was at the Forest of Death along with Sasuke and Sakura. "I suggest we take the west side," Mito said. The two looked at her weirdly. "It's the best way in, trust me," Mito said. In reality, she knew that heading in that way, she could get Naruto to help them in case her suspicions on Kabuto were real. The three started to head into the Forest of Death. Team 7 had survived for a couple of days now. Mito was meditating when she detected something. "Guys, there are 3 Kirigakure genin here," Mito said. Suddenly, 3 of them dropped down. Mito drew her tanto. The 3 genin charged at the Konoha genin. Mito ran forward and deflected the first guy's kunai with the tanto. She spin-kicked the second Kiri genin coming at her from the left side. She then separated from the fight with the first guy, slamming him into the tree. She jumped up and used a jutsu Naruto taught her. Shadow style. Raining shadow kunai, she yelled. She wondered how Naruto had enough chakra to sustain his shadow katana until he explained to her one day. Flashback. "Seals," Naruto said randomly. "What?" Mito asked, looking up from her ramen. "I keep up my katana with special seals. It makes it a solid katana that can infuse any chakra nature, but I keep it together with a lot of chakra and seals," he told her. Mito nodded. "But do you seal the katana?" she asked. "No, I don't. What I do is sustain it with my chakra, then take out the chakra to hollow it out. Then I pour a bunch of chakra into it with sealing chakra I made with Fuinjutsu to make it so the shape gets maintained," Naruto told her. Mito nodded. She would remember that for later. End of flashback. Mito was wondering at this point how Naruto had enough chakra to maintain his sword and several other things at once and recreate it. She started to infuse chakra into the tanto, which was made from a special metal called radium metal. Every slash sent out from wind chakra also gave someone a special poisoning only Tsunade and Naruto could heal. She used the special blade and toned it down to level 2, so they could be saved by someone who knew the mystical palm stage 3. She slashed at the first guy, who got cover from the trees and was still slightly bleeding. His chest was slashed. Hopefully someone comes to save them, otherwise, nothing will, Mito said before the three checked the knocked-over men. Oh good, they had the scroll we need, Mito said, pulling out an earth scroll. The group started tree-jumping away when Mito's chakra-enhanced ears picked up a cry for help. Hold on guys, I need to do something, Mito told them. The other two nodded and started setting up camp in a large bush that they hollowed out and covered to look normal. Mito went to where she heard the cry to see a girl wearing a Kusagakure headband and glasses screaming about a bear attacking her. Mito recognized the bear. Beerus, calm your ass down and go back to your cave. Mito yelled at the bear. It let out a growl and pointed at the girl. She's fine. No eating her. Here. Mito yelled at the bear again before throwing it some beef she had in a scroll for diverting the attention of the animals. What's your name? Mito asked, looking at the girl. Karen, what's yours? The girl, now identified as Karen, asked. I'm Mito Uzumaki Namikaze, she said with a grin. Karen looked at Mito wide-eyed. Wait, did you say Uzumaki? She asked. Mito nodded. Are you an Uzumaki too? I can take you to my brother because he'll take care of you. Mito told her. Karen nodded and Mito Harai shined to Naruto's house, yelling for Naruto. When he came down, both Mito and Karen blushed. Water was dripping off of his body and steam curled around him. He was in the nude besides a towel wrapped around his waist. What do you need? He asked. Can you take care of Karen here? She's an Uzumaki. And get some clothes on. Mito said, yelling the last part. Naruto sighed. It's my house, crazy woman, he said. Anyway, Karen, spare room to the right of my room. Don't go to the room at the end of the hallway. It's my parents' little getaway room, if you know what I mean, Naruto told her. Karen nodded and went to the room. Oh, and by the way, if you need clothes, I can do exact measurements for everything you want and get you the clothes, Naruto told her. Karen nodded and Naruto turned to Mito. I sense evil chakra, so I'm going in, Naruto told Mito once Karen went to the room. Naruto made a clone and Naruto got some clothes on, before the two shinned out, ready to fight whatever Naruto sensed. Naruto remained in shadow form while he ran to where he felt the chakra. He knew he wasn't supposed to interfere, but he also knew that Minato gave him permission to scout out for anything that felt off. Flashback. Naruto, I know you live in the Forest of Death, which I'm sure you're aware is also the zone for the Chunin exams, Minato told Naruto. Yeah, I know that, but why? Naruto asked. It's simple really. While I should tell you to get out, I want you to keep living there and monitor the Chunin exams to see if anything is off, Minato stated. Naruto nodded. After you informed me on Mito's issue, I thought I would ask this of you, Minato said. Naruto responded, I understand. If it appears a powerful ninja above the rank of Chunin appears to harm them, I am to step in, correct? Minato nodded. Naruto bowed. Hi, Hokage-sama, he said as he shinned home. End of flashback. Naruto was checking and found Sasuke and Sakura fighting a Kusa nin who was giving off the foul chakra. Naruto sat and watched for a bit, before deciding she wasn't human. Right as he was about to, Sasuke nailed her with a grand fireball jutsu. It made her melt into Orochimaru. Naruto smirked. He might actually get a challenge. He appeared in the clearing where Orochimaru stood. That's enough, he said. The three looked and saw Naruto standing in front of them, deflecting a finishing jutsu Orochimaru sent to them. I believe I should step in here, Naruto said. He then quickly turned around. I'm about to unleash my true power. Do not panic, Naruto told them. The group nodded. Naruto deactivated his gravity seals. The weight that was relieved made an earthquake that the entirety of the 5 great nations felt. Naruto then activated his chakra cloak, Rinnegan, and pure eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. He even activated the Truthseeker orbs and let out every ounce of killer intent in his body. Orochimaru was shivering and sweating nervously. I am the great sage of 6 paths, the god of chakra, and the divine wielder of the art of ninshū. Naruto said, getting the words from seemingly out of nowhere. He then pulled out his katana. And today, the filth of your soul will perish, Naruto said as he charged. Orochimaru looked at the charging Naruto and saw not only a good specimen, but a literal demon running towards him. Naruto slashed his Truthseeker katana and Orochimaru blocked. He would need to get serious. He released his own gravity seals into the others, the two became a blur. Orochimaru summoned his deep-throating sword and the two blades collided. Naruto then made a chakra rod using his Rinnegan and took a slash at Orochimaru. Orochimaru raised the sword of Kusanagi, which blocked the strike. Naruto then heard a voice in his head, adamantine sword. Very impressive workmanship too. Naruto shook his head, knowing the old sage just made a comment about the sword. Orochimaru sent another stab at Naruto, which he slapped aside. Naruto then made the chakra rod grow and attacked the sword at the end with his chakra, making a pure chakra Truthseeker scythe. He swiped at Orochimaru to see how he would react and he merely slashed it away. The two continued to move faster again. Naruto eventually split the sword off of the extended rod before spin slashing with the sword. He then activated something he wished he never would have had to have done. He unleashed his personal tailed beast form. Sasuke stumbled back in surprise. This is the power of Naruto-sensei? He thought in surprise. He was smart enough to know that all of Naruto's form was pure chakra and nothing else. Naruto used his pink Susanoo to cloak his personal tailed beast mode, which was a humanoid figure with a knight's helmet on. Naruto then forced it to shrink into armor, which he used to engage Orochimaru. Orochimaru was stabbed and slashed at speeds that he almost couldn't see. He blocked, parried, and stabbed as much as he could. He felt one hit graze Naruto and smirked. The poison-laced blade had managed to inject its poison into Naruto. Naruto just ignored it and eventually sheathed his katana. Orochimaru then fell over. Naruto thought he won but still sensed chakra. So he watched to his not-so-surprised surprise as Orochimaru barfed himself out. Naruto smirked. He could keep on fighting. He used the summoning jutsu and made a fox with the Rinnegan. The fox cloned itself and got into formation. Naruto smirked and Orochimaru stopped moving in confusion. Fuinjutsu art, Naruto started. Orochimaru's eyes widened as he realized what was happening and he made a move but it was too late. Fox sealing prison. Naruto yelled. The four Rinnegan foxes had a seal trapping Orochimaru with them being the corners. Orochimaru smirked. He threw a blade of grass into the air and replaced himself with it. He then replaced himself with a log outside of the barrier and stabbed the foxes. They bit in him and he jumped back in surprise. The foxes then vanished. Naruto smirked. The Rinnegan eye was really powerful. He then charged back at Orochimaru and the two engaged in a fierce exchange of swordplay, before Naruto got a slash in on Orochimaru's left flank. Orochimaru started bleeding and limping but he didn't replace himself with a new self since it would kill him from chakra exhaustion. He then activated a seal and all of his chakra replenished. He jumped back into the battle. Orochimaru and Naruto clashed for a while. The two swords were merely shimmering blurs as the two kept exchanging blows. The two then jumped back and weaved through hand signs. Earth style. Raining meteors. Orochimaru yelled as he finished. Naruto copied the jutsu, knowing it would be useful for later. He looked up to see large rock masses raining down on the landscape. He smirked. Creation style. Dragon storm. Naruto yelled. Orochimaru's eyes widened as Naruto used every base chakra nature to make a giant storm of dragons. He quickly switched jutsus. Earth style. Iwa's earth wall. He yelled. Immediately, a giant and sturdy wall appeared, barely blocking the dragon storm. Orochimaru couldn't see through the dust but raised his kunai in the direction he heard a whistling sound come from. Right as he raised it, a kunai broke his kunai and fell through the floor. Orochimaru scoffed. He's really good. I think he may even be better than Minato. Orochimaru thought, surprised. He then felt a kunai slice off a singular strand of his hair, before he felt a kunai pressed against his neck. He smirked before he melted into snakes and reassembled farther away from Naruto. Kukuku, you're going to need to try better than that, Naruto, Orochimaru said. Naruto looked at him in disgust. You're a real pedo, he said. Orochimaru growled and attacked Naruto again. Sasuke stared at the two fighting in amazement. He knew with power like that, Itachi would lose to him easily. He wondered just how powerful his sensei was. He felt every hit delivered and even realized something. Naruto was going against the best Sannin and winning. Naruto didn't even look like he was trying. He realized Naruto still hadn't used half of what he probably could do. He knew if he wanted to get stronger, he would have to use his Sharingan to unlock the Uchiha manifolds. Naruto let out a grunt as he sent another stab at Orochimaru. He already revealed his creation style and didn't want to reveal more, but he knew what he would have to do. Creation style. Great Elemental Tempest. Naruto yelled. Orochimaru didn't know what jutsu Naruto had performed until it hit him. An invisible wave of wind and water swept him up in a hurricane, as lightning, fire, and earth shot at him randomly. He could barely see, but it looked like dragons had formed around him and were shooting the streams of the elements at him. He kept blocking with his sword and did a risky move. Orochimaru activated his secret corruption curse mark. His second most powerful curse mark worked on anyone, including himself. His body transformed into a dragon and he fought off everything. Naruto smirked and activated the full extended version. It was the final fight, a dragon versus a large humanoid creature with a helmet. The two clashed. Orochimaru's dragon form morphed into a humanoid bipedal version of itself, which held a larger version of the sword of Kusanagi, and Naruto's held a larger version of his Truthseeker katana. The two engaged in a fierce battle of swordplay, both trying to top the other. Orochimaru eventually got in a stab, which Naruto swatted away and kicked him. The two then transformed into smaller forms as the larger ones were harder to maintain. Orochimaru smirked though, as he got out of the fearsome twister. He then weaved through hand signs. Hidden Snake Jutsu. He yelled. A bunch of giant snakes poofed into existence and charged Naruto. Naruto gave him a fox-like grin before biting his thumb. Summoning Jutsu. Kitsune Pack. Naruto yelled as a pack of kitsunes the size of half the Kyuubi in fox form bit the snakes in the middle and trotted off, happy with their new dinner. Naruto grimaced as he jumped backward, weaving through more hand signs. Orochimaru had too many tricks up his sleeves for him to land a solid hit. He resorted to some other justices. Fire style. Firestorm. Naruto yelled. Water and air combination style. Hurricane. The two giant funnels of water and fire closed in on Orochimaru as his eyes widened. The jutsus were simple and easy to do if someone was good enough. He smirked. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Orochimaru yelled as he took a giant breath and used as much chakra as he could afford to use, blowing away the hurricane and angling it so the spray took out the firestorm. Naruto let out a sigh. "You're really pesky," he said, getting annoyed. "One might say I'm slippery like a snake," Orochimaru chuckled, making a pun. Naruto let out an annoyed growl and Orochimaru knew he was getting him annoyed. But then he was hit with a surprise. Naruto closed his eyes and activated every single tailed beast chakra mode, making a giant figure that he remembered, the statue in the Akatsuki base. He stumbled back and ran away. Naruto sighed and deactivated everything. He went all out on Orochimaru but knew he couldn't show too much. Yet, Anko and the rest of the Jonin senseis and proctors all were tree jumping to where they felt a large surge of chakra. The group came to the site and saw Naruto on one knee, katana planted firmly into the ground, supporting him. Mito jogged over. "He's crazy strong. He literally just beat up Pedochimaru," Mito told them. Anko's jaw dropped. Her little Whiskers-kun was badass. "He just beat the pedo with minimal effort." She nodded. "Well, he interfered appropriately. We'll inform Minato-sama about the situation. For now, finish the exams," Anko told them. The three nodded and the group, as well as Naruto, shunned away. Naruto arrived in his house to find a sickly-looking man knocking at his door. He opened it and the man let himself in. You look familiar. What's your name again?" Naruto asked the man. He let out a cough before looking at him. "I'm Hayate Gecko. I came here to ask about a few things," the man, now identified as Hayate, responded. Naruto nodded and the two got serious. Then Naruto's mood lightened up. "Wait a minute, hold on, let me help you with something," Naruto told Hayate. The other man nodded and Naruto put his hands over Hayate's two lungs, mouth, and nose. "Mystical palm jutsu, medical miracles," Naruto called out. He then healed Hayate's cough. "How do you feel now?" Naruto asked him. He looked up and smiled at Naruto. "Well, I feel like I can finally kiss Yugo," he said, chuckling. Naruto also let out a laugh. "Ha ha ha, Cool. Now, tell me why you came here. Naruto laughed before getting serious. Let time skip. Naruto finished giving Hayate the information on Orochimaru in exchange for Hayate's most recent mission, which was to follow Kabuto Yakushi so he could see if he was a traitor or not. Naruto nodded and told him he would follow to make sure he stayed alive. Hayate nodded and checked the time. I need to go, so goodbye. Hayate told Naruto as he shinned away. Damn, he's weird, Naruto said to himself. Time skip. Naruto was leaning on the wall of the east spectating area and just finished listening to his dad's speech. The first few shinobi had finished fighting too, all of it was boring. Sakura beat Ino by a hairball since she gained more power from carrying Sasuke. Dosu beat Choji easily. Sasuke won his match by a ramen noodle. A guy named Kitane got an easy pass since there was no one for him to fight. Shikamaru beat his opponent easily, and Tamari beat Tenten with relative ease. This same process went on until it was Rock Lee and Gaia's turn. Ready? Lee yelled joyously. Ready, Gaia said darkly. Very well then. Begin, Hayate yelled as he jumped back, letting the two fight. Gaia started with her generic sand moves and Lee blocked and struck accordingly. Eventually, Gaia noticed the fight wasn't getting anywhere. Lee, take them off, Gaia yelled. Lee looked at his sensei and nodded. He moved quickly and was at the back of the arena. He took off the weights. PSH, those are probably just for show. Tamari was about to say before a loud boom sounded, coming from Lee's weights dropping. Holy shit, what the fuck? Mito yelled before she got slapped in the back of the head. No cussing, Naruto said. She rubbed the back of her neck and grumbled a bit before going back to watch. Lee smirked as he started to beat Gaia. She may have had a great defense, but her defense wasn't faster than him. He kicked, punched, and inflicted pain upon her in every way he could when she finally got annoyed and caught him in a trap. Gaia saw Lee look at him and he nodded, knowing what was going to happen. Lee suddenly stopped and yelled, "Fifth gate of pain. Open," and moved so fast around Gaia she couldn't see what was happening. Reverse Lotus, Lee yelled as he started moving around Gaia faster and kicking her around. He eventually got caught by her sand and Gaia closed her hand. It was then that Naruto stepped in before Gaia could. Stop, this match is over, he said to Gaia before she crushed Lee's leg. Mother wants your blood, Gaia yelled at Naruto, who smirked. Tell her I'm actually going to really pound her, he said. Shikaku heard the message and shut up, knowing if she didn't Naruto would just tease her with his stick, which she heard from Matabi was huge. She's silent? I will kill you anyway and prove my existence. Gaia yelled as she charged at Naruto, who sighed. He merely chopped her neck, effectively knocking her out. Okay good, and Shuka, behave, Naruto said to Gaia's limp form. Naruto shinned up with Lee following. Immediately, he bowed. Thank you for saving me Naruto, Lee exclaimed. Naruto nodded and dismissed it. It's whatever, he said. The two then continued to watch the matches. After a while, the screen showed Mito would be going against Kiba. Naruto chuckled and Mito shot Kiba a look that said, "Go all out or I will kill you." The two stepped down and got into fighting stances. Hayate saw both were ready and yelled to begin before jumping back. Mito let out a chuckle and made a clone. Sensing her father watching, she looked to him for confirmation. He nodded, signaling she had permission to go all out. Mito smirked and focused her hand before she started a jutsu. Naruto and everyone up in the stands could feel the massive amount of chakra being condensed into a ball and he smirked, knowing what was going to happen. He noticed Mito look up and looked towards Kiba, who hadn't attacked her yet. Mito started focusing and smirked, looking up. Ninja art, Rasengan, Mito yelled as she jumped at Kiba and attempted to slam it into his chest. He jumped back and smirked. Kurenai then made a comment. You know, Mito may be strong, but Kiba's been training forever. There's no way Mito could win this, Naruto just teached. Mito's more powerful than that, don't underestimate her, Naruto told Kurenai with a smirk. Kiba used his fang over fang with Akamaru and Mito, took a direct hit before falling onto the floor. Kiba was about to end it when Mito smirked and Kiba's eyes widened. Mito flipped faster than Kiba could track and kicked him in the nose, sending him flying. Mito then looked at Akamaru. What are you doing with your dog? She asked. Kiba laughed, it's my Ninken of course. he said. Mito gave him a deadpan look. I was talking to Akamaru, she said. Everyone in the preliminaries area let out a laugh and Kiba growled. You know, they say the concept of hope is nothing more than giving up. A word that holds no true meaning, Naruto said. He then let out a chuckle. Fate's something you shouldn't believe in, but it's funny how much this applies to the fight right now. Kiba's far outclassed, Naruto finished. But how? Kurenai asked curiously. Simply put, Mito already took down a low Jonin-level shinobi, Naruto said, chuckling. One of the Iwa Genin let out a whimper. So you're the weak dude's younger brother, Naruto asked, chuckling. The Genin let out a nod. Whatever. Naruto shrugged before looking back to the match right in time to see Kiba get kicked again, effectively knocking him out. Naruto smirked though, as the next match and final one was called. It was Neji versus Hinata. Hinata-sama, I request of you to quit as I will not be going easy, Neji stated. Hinata looked up and made eye contact with Naruto, who placed her under a small genjutsu. I won't be going easy either, Neji, Hinata stated with a confidence that surprised herself. Naruto placed her under a basic genjutsu to help her get rid of her shyness. Very well then, Proctor, start the match. Neji called. Hajime. Hayate called before jumping back to let the two fight. Hinata was incredibly calculating and aggressive, ending the fight with 12 well-placed strikes. She was going in for a final hit when Neji got up and surprised her by hitting her with more palm strikes. The two parried, struck, and dodged as needed. Eventually, though, Hinata started to tire. But she knew in order to feel recognition, she would have to push forward. And that she did, attacking Neji faster to try and end the fight faster. One guy, who had a mask on that looked like a paper plate and a hood covering his hair looked on. On the mask, the words, pain, and mask, were evident. He let out a dark chuckle. Oh, I remember those days, he said, finishing his laugh with a bitter one. Sakura looked at the man confused. Who are you? She asked, confused. I'm a man who lost too much and wears a mask to hide my years of pain, he said with a bitter tone. Now my affiliation is an ex-Anbu captain and now elite Jonin of the village hidden in the plains, he said, laughing. But you can call me Jack, Jack finished. Sakura nodded, satisfied with the answer. Naruto looked at Jack curiously. He knew Jack was hiding something about himself. They all looked back at the fight. Neji had enough practice and knocked over Hinata, sending her flying. He then went charging towards Hinata when Jack jumped in, kicking away Neji. Naruto then jumped down. That's enough, she lost, Naruto told him. Jack, seeing no need to interfere, jumped back to the stands. Naruto finished telling Neji to stop and all of the contestants came down and selected a number. 1. Mito called out. 2. Neji said. 6. Kankuro stated. 5. Dosu said. 4. Sasuke stated. 3. Gaia said plainly. 7. Sakura said excitedly. 9. Kitane said. 8. Tamari stated plainly. Now that you all have your number, good luck on the Chunin exams. They're in 1 month, and take the time to train, Hayate told them. All of the ninjas nodded and started filing out, preparing to start training for a month. Please train me, Mito yelled, begged as she bowed in front of Naruto. Naruto looked down at her, but you're strong enough already, he said with an eyebrow raised. But I know everyone else will be training and might have something I can't beat, so please train me. She said. Naruto thought for a second before nodding. I will, but I have a meeting to attend to. So get packing. I will come and get you after, Naruto told her. Mito nodded before going upstairs, grabbing her extra clothes for packing. Naruto shinned into the meeting room and the meeting was called. So, let's start with the Chunin exams. After much time, we've managed to agree to Jishin Agarade, the Hiranokage of the Plains Village, A, the Raikage of the Lightning Village, and Rasa, the Case Cage of the Sand Village, to agree to come to watch these exams peacefully. Also, we've gotten some news on Iwa testing our borders once more, Minato said. Suddenly, a guy on the civilian side called out something that made Naruto's blood boil. Put your eldest daughter into CRA. He yelled since he wanted to be the one to take her. The civilian side started cheering for it to work and Minato got up. Enough. I will not be enacting Mito Namikaze into CRA. He yelled. The civilians started protesting until Naruto got a headache. I volunteer myself for the CRA, Naruto said. Minato's head whipped towards Naruto, shocked. Why would you do that? he asked, surprised. It's simple really. Mito and I have genes that are similar if not the same, and we're siblings. But I will only accept brides I choose and the love has to be mutual, Naruto told them. As much as it pained Minato, he knew what he would have to do. Naruto, by the Hokage's decree, I give permission for CRA to be enacted upon you, he said. Naruto nodded and the meeting continued. The civilian side was furious, as they were all thinking about the gang bangs they would have forced Mito into when the demon brat countered, as they considered it, needs. God damn, that meeting sucked. Naruto yelled out. Mito came running down with her Fuinjutsu scroll. What is it? Mito asked, confused. I had to enact myself into CRA so your little bratty ass wouldn't, Naruto said. Mito looked mad. Those cheap civilians have been trying since the beginning, Mito said, pissed. Mama, it's in the past now, let's get going, Naruto said. Where are we going? Mito asked, confused. We're going to my secret area, Naruto told her childishly. Mito giggled, imagining a tiny cave that Naruto forgot was tiny since he was taller now. 2 hours later. Wow, it's taking a while to get there, Mito said, panting like crazy from having been running with Naruto's special gravity seals. Can we deactivate the seals? Mito asked. Naruto looked at her confused. Sure, he said. Mito deactivated the gravity seals and took off. Naruto chuckled and ran after her, gravity seals still active. How are you still next to me with the seals activated? Mito asked, confused. Practice, he said. Also, it's because when I deactivate mine I create an earthquake every place on this planet can feel, Naruto told her. Also, here we are, Naruto said. They approached a giant fortress with several villagers on the inside with 2 guards Naruto personally picked. The men were Kakuzu and Hidan. Hello you two, Naruto said. He found the 2 working for the Akatsuki and told them if they guarded his fortress, they would live like kings. The villagers were all people Naruto had saved on missions and as such most were girls. Mito looked around in awe. She knew about Naruto's feats and even saw a place called the Great Naruto Museum, and in front of it was a golden statue of Naruto. The 2 were walking along when a female about the age of 20 approached them. Naruto-sama, welcome back, she greeted happily. Hello Misha, Naruto greeted with a smile. Where's Sasha? He asked. Misha chuckled. She's hanging out with Anos, she chuckled. So you two's poly relationship is working? He asked. She nodded. Good. Now can you show Mito to my 5th private training ground? Naruto asked. She nodded and Mito followed Misha. To any of you who gets the reference here, I will respect you forever. Naruto went to his office, where he made a clone to work in the office before he left for the 5th training grounds, the multi-use cave. When he got there, he saw Mito staring in awe as Misha's grayish-white hair went whipping around from the wind in the cave. Naruto laughed loudly and Misha bowed before leaving. Mito slipped into a fighting stance and Naruto upped his gravity seals by 1. Any more and he would become a black hole, but for now, it would do. He was now on even footing as Mito if she had no gravity seals. Okay, Mito, activate your gravity seals. We're going to spar, Naruto told her. She nodded and the 2 started fighting. Mito charged first, throwing 2 Hiraishin kunai at Naruto, who blocked both and threw a kunai at both. Mito didn't Hiraishin though, and just threw a kunai forward at Naruto. Naruto blocked the kunai and Mito smirked, her eyes shining to the kunai that Naruto deflected. She sent a kunai to his face and he let out a sigh before smacking her face, sending her into a wall of the cave. She grunted before getting up, immediately throwing another kunai. She then started weaving hand signs. Wind style. Forward propelling. Mito yelled. She sucked and shot off several balls of air and hit Naruto backward. Naruto let out a TCH before realizing he could also use jutsus. He weaved through the hand signs and smirked. Konoha ninja art, 1000 years of death. Naruto yelled. He Hirai shined behind Mito and shoved his fingers up her. Not her butt because she turned around too fast. Naruto gasped and quickly deactivated his chakra before contact. It only ripped her clothes, luckily. Mito let out a growl and kicked Naruto. Naruto did a jutsu and Mito's clothes mended. Naruto then charged back in after the brutal kick in the face from Mito and the 2 kept fighting. Mito then got tired of stalling and used the shadow style to launch a hail of shadow kunai at Naruto. Naruto chuckled and grabbed his katana before slashing away the rain of kunai. He then threw his katana at Mito and Hirai shinned to the mark on it, kicking at Mito. Mito grunted as the kick made contact with her arms, which she raised to block the kick. She stumbled and rolled backward, falling over. Naruto was in front of Mito, slashing down on her. Mito raised a kunai and blocked, before sending a punch to Naruto. Naruto smirked and the two jumped back, weaving hand signs. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. The two siblings yelled in sync. The water dragons attacked each other before Naruto found his opening. Fire style. Searing migraine. Naruto yelled. Mito's eyes widened and she used the only jutsu she could. Water style. Great water wall. Mito yelled. The two jutsus collided before steam filled the room. Mito was panting and Naruto was barely winded. Good job Mito, now I know how I can train you, Naruto stated. Mito nodded before falling over and passing out. Mito was on the floor again. Naruto was working her basic skills to the max, increasing both her chakra limit and her stealth. Mito saw Naruto offer her a hand and she grabbed it, pulling her up. The two stared at each other a bit, standing still. Mito glanced at Naruto's lips, her hormone drive was taking over. She closed her eyes and forced her lips onto Naruto's mouth and he kissed back. The two kissed passionately and Naruto trailed his hands down to her waist and pulled her closer, deepening the kiss. After what felt like an eon, the two separated, panting, with a string of saliva connecting the two. Mito quickly shook off the blush and looked at Naruto, who also shook off his stupor. Why did it feel so wrong yet so right? Mito asked, thinking sibling dating was wrong. Maybe because the Uzumaki clan can and did practice incest to keep the bloodline clean, Naruto told her. In this case, our father's genes are weak enough to let the bloodline stay pure, but also strong enough to make our bodies stronger, Naruto told her. She nodded and the two decided to keep it a secret, as then the civilian council would use it as an excuse to kick him out of the village. The two then sat down to get ready to eat what Misha brought them, which was a mushroom stew. Back in the village, Jack was walking around. He looked around and saw couples and families, all of who looked happy with each other. Under the mask, he let tears fall. He didn't make a noise, he never did. He always made sure to never show he was crying. His depression from his losses was too much for him with all of the reminders. The mask was something everyone knew, a thing to hide your true emotions. He just physically turned his into one. He, like most, had a crush. His actually turned into a serious relationship, it even went to the point where he proposed. They were only 16, but the proposal was for when they turned 18. The day before he turned 18, she died. She died a month after she became an adult and he cried on that day. Some birthday I had, he thought to himself again. He never complained about how it was his birthday, even though she always made his day on his birthday, but he found it bitterly ironic that the day before his birthday was when she died. She never blamed him, she loved him too much. But he always blamed himself. He knew the pain of losing a loved one and it haunted him all his life until he was forced to take on a genin team. He trained them as greatly as he could, but only ended up taking on one of them since the other two were too weak for his line of work. He was leaving from his training with Kitane when he smelled blood. He immediately started running towards the source and saw that Jonin named Naruto and the proctor killing Kabuto and Baki. Do I even want to ask what happened? He asked tiredly. Naruto chuckled, no, I assume you don't. Also, if you can you warn your cage about the approaching situation? Konoha is to be invaded by Orochimaru and this is our only chance of killing him, Naruto informed him. Jack nodded and weaved through hand signs before contacting Jishin. Jishin-sama, Jack called in his mind. Jishin was a woman who was called a goddess because she was both beautiful and incredibly powerful, as well as the sister of his now deceased girlfriend. Originally, they were called the sibling goddesses. But then his girlfriend died from tuberculosis and another disease a month ago. Yes, Jack? Jishin asked. There will be an invasion in the Leaf. Do you wish to come and assist, but you must act like you know nothing. Based on who was killed, the cage is the one who's the imposter, Jack told her. Jishin let out a scoff. Very well, I'm aware of the situation and I will be attending, she informed him. Jack nodded and cut the connection. She'll be coming, Jack told the two Konoha nin. Naruto nodded and Hayate shinned away. Is my work here done now? Jack asked. Naruto shook his head. First, show me your Kekkei Genkai, Naruto told him. Jack chuckled. You sense mine just like I know about all of yours, Jack said. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. And actually, it's a Kekkei Tota, Jack said. He closed his eyes and made a tiger hand seal, focusing his chakra on his eyes. Kami no Bijin, he yelled. His eyes each gained 5 rings. Each ring had 2 tomo. The rings all centered around one pupil, which had a demon wind shuriken shape. I can use the power of the famed Rinnegan with the range of the strongest of Byakugan, as well as the fact I can do this, Jack said, and he held out his hands. One thing he made was a tailed beast bomb, and the other thing he had was a singular truth seeker orb. I unlocked this part of my eye, Jack said, pointing at the shuriken, when my wife died. Naruto sighed. Don't say it, Jack said. I already know. He let out his normal bitter laugh. Sometimes I want to die, just to see her again, Jack told Naruto. Anyway, I need to check on Kitane, Jack said, making some excuse. Naruto waved and Jack left. What Naruto didn't know was that his Byakusharinen had evolved at that very moment to the Kami no Bijin. Then, he poofed away. Naruto shot awake far away, opening his eyes. And his right eye started glowing yellow, as the specific power of his eye glowed and warped into the great Kami no Bijin, God's vision. Naruto and Mito were trees jumping in the daylight, checking their surroundings as they did. The two were talking about Mito's strategies and how she shouldn't show her abilities with the Hiraishin, searing migraine, and massive mist mirage jutsus, as all of them were powerful jutsus. They were discussing Mito's strategies when both of their heads turned left, sensing 2 masses of chakra coming at them. Naruto kicked Mito lightly in the side, sending her away as he dodged 2 jutsus fired at him. Well, if it isn't Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha, Naruto said. The two looked at Naruto. Leader Sama assigned us to take you in again, Itachi said monotonously. Naruto knew why Itachi didn't deny it though, he wanted to go back to the leaf. Naruto smirked. Bring it. Mito, take on Kisame. You two have about the same chakra levels now, Naruto said. Mito and Kisame both let out grins, Kisami's being shark-like Ba Dump Crash and Mito's grin was more fox-like. The two pulled out their preferred weapons, Mito's being her shadowed Tanto from Naruto and Kisami's being Samahata. The two dashed at each other, grins still evident. Samahata came flying down at Mito, who slashed upward with the shadowed Tanto. She then threw it at Kisame, who hid it away, only for Mito to Hiraishin to hit and stabbed Kisame in the back, before Kisame whipped around and kicked her side, sending her flying. Mito winced as she landed, barely able to reinforce her body with chakra on time. She then focused her mind and green chakra began surrounding her. She had unintentionally opened the first gate of opening. Kisame smirked, knowing he would get to have some fun. The two started making hand signs. Water style. Water shark bullets. Kisame yelled as he pointed Samahata at Mito, signaling the water sharks to launch at Mito and follow. Mito smirked and was weaving hand signs as she ran. Earth style. Earthen shark hunters. She yelled. Kisami's eyes widened as several ogre-like creatures caught the sharks in midair and ate them, increasing their size. He weaved through more hand signs, ninja art, hidden in the mist jutsu. He called out. Mito grunted. She knew the great breakthrough, but Kisame was known for his dense and powerful chakra, so she probably couldn't disperse it. So she did the next best thing, she jumped high into the air. Kisame noticed Mito being suspended in midair and Mito smirked as Samahata cut through her and she dissolved into mist. Kisame realized what happened. Kai, he yelled. He saw that he was being held down by the golems that ate his sharks. Massive mist mirage, shouldn't have done your hidden in the mist jutsu, Mito said, smirking. Kisame grunted. He made a water clone without hand signs and replaced himself with it, before dispersing it. You're pretty good, for a kid. But you won't be able to beat me, Kisame said, smirking. He didn't want to reveal his trump card yet. Water style. Rain of water bullets. Kisame yelled out as a hail of water bullets formed by his chakra came down on Mito. Man, no wonder why you're called the tailless beast, your chakra capacity is enormous. Mito said in awe before remembering the fight. Oh well, earth style. Protective earth dome. Mito yelled out as a dome of compact, reinforced earth covered her and everything in a 10-foot radius. Kisame grunted as he saw the dome come up. He figured it was going to be a pain to deal with and sighed. He weaved through more hand signs. 1,000 sharks jutsu. He yelled out. 1,000 water sharks splashed against the earth dome, weakening it significantly. He then charged and sliced the dome with Samahata, who ate the chakra and the dome collapsed, revealing a Mito Uzumaki stone clone. Kisame on instinct raised his left arm and felt a foot make contact with it before he felt a slight pressure and a bush rustle, signifying she backed off. He hefted his sword and closed his eyes, spreading out his chakra to feel for where Mito was. He then took out a kunai from under his cloak and threw it at where he felt Mito's chakra come from. He heard the familiar thump of a kunai hitting flesh and Mito came running out, kunai in her shoulder. She pulled it out and threw it back at Kisame, before working on healing her shoulder with the level 4 medical ninjutsu Naruto taught her for basic flesh wounds. She then threw several other kunai and made a hand sign, ninja art, explosive kunai clone jutsu. Mito yelled. Kisame raised the flat of his sword and Samahata took the brunt of the damage while Mito smirked. Kisame heard the hiss of a bomb and his eyes widened as his back was exploded. He grunted and ran back slightly, getting ready for the upcoming clone ambush he was planning. Mito noticed Kisame run and made a clone to chase him while she devised a plan. She figured Kisame would have some trap set, so she was ready to release the new level of gravity seals and leave. She realized her clone popped and learned Kisame had set an explosion trap. She smirked, remembering how she always gave clones ashes and blood for explosive traps. She jumped in a bush and saw Kisame walk out of the woods smirking. Guess the brat's common sense sucked like hell. Too bad too, she was good. Kisame said to himself. As soon as he turned to go help Itachi with Naruto, he felt a kunai get shoved up his ass. But how? He exclaimed in surprise, knowing full well who did it. Mito shook a clear jug of ashes. You tricky bitch. Kisame yelled as he started jumping away. I'll get you next time. He yelled. Naruto had just finished the scene where Itachi's death would be faked when he sensed a mass of chakra coming. He immediately grabbed Itachi and put him in a prisoner seal before acting like he was slightly drained of chakra. Kisame's eyes widened. He saw an Itachi that had blood running out of both sides of his mouth and his eyes were taken out. Blood was pouring out of the skull and he ran, knowing the girl would be coming soon. Naruto then released Itachi from the prisoner seal and the three nodded before shunshining back to the village, intent on preparing for the troublesome meeting to follow. Naruto, Mito, and Itachi were all camping out at Itachi's house after giving Mito an explanation on why Itachi was with them. Naruto noticed a root anbu was in his ceiling. Naruto, you've unlocked a new ability with your new eye, he heard Hagoromo tell him. He looked at the root anbu and the words just came to him, Hyoketsu. He yelled. The root anbu froze, all chakra flow coming to a halt and he fell, motionless. Good, Naruto said. He sliced the root anbu's neck and sealed the body for later. He then put on his mask and threw one to Itachi. He then gave Itachi some hair dye. Let's get going, Naruto told the two. They nodded and the three started walking to the Hokage's office. Ah, Naruto, what brings you here? Also, who's your friend? Minato asked, addressing Naruto first, as he was leading the trio. Father, please tell the Anbu to leave, Naruto told him. Minato became serious and waved, causing the Anbu to guard the door and windows. What is it, Naruto? Minato asked seriously. Itachi, take off your mask, Naruto told Itachi. The man nodded and Minato let out a sigh of relief, remembering Itachi's mission. Hokage-sama, I request to rejoin the Hidden Leaf Village as an undercover shinobi, Itachi asked, bowing. Minato nodded. Permission granted, he said. Itachi nodded. Itachi, you are, however, to be my personal guard, Minato told him. Itachi nodded in thanks before shunshining back to Naruto's house. Naruto and Mito soon shunshined as well but to the Chunin exams. 2 hours later, Itachi and Naruto were in the stands as the fights began. The first fight was Mito versus Neji. The two sat and watched, getting ready for the interesting match. Ah yes, the Hokage's daughter and I. The Hyuga prodigy. It appears as if fate has decided for two powerful people to fight today. Neji said. Fate's a piece of shit, Mito stated bluntly before giving a nod to Hayate. He didn't die so he's still the proctor, who jumped back. Hajime. He yelled and Mito and Neji's fight began. Mito started off by testing Neji's skill and threw a kunai with a paper bomb on it. She then made a few hand signs, ninja art. Paper bomb kunai clone jutsu. Mito called as the hail of kunai expanded. The royals and feudal lords all watched in amazement. She just duplicated the kunai. Neji grunted, knowing he would have to show it off. He then focused and got into a stance. Rotation. He yelled, rotating his body quickly, and a cloak of chakra in a half-sphere covered him. In the stands, Hiyashi and Hanabi gasped. "Father, isn't that the main household technique?" Hanabi asked. Hiyashi nodded and the two looked back to the fight. Mito sighed and threw a couple more kunai. The royalty all wondered if that was all she could do. Neji smirked and just caught the kunai. Mito sighed. "Guess you actually have some skill," she said, sounding sad. "I guess I'll have to try." "Oh well," she said. The cages, who were all in the stands, snickered. "She makes it sound like the Hyuga isn't worth her time." I laughed. Minato, who tried to keep a neutral face, let out a grunt of agreement, not trusting his voice. The group looked back at the fight. Water style. Water bullets. Mito yelled as she sent several tons of water worth of water bullets at Neji. Neji's eyes widened as he used rotation again. He was going to have to be more careful. Mito ran in to engage in a taijutsu fight when she noticed Neji lower his stance. "You're in range of my 8 trigrams, 64 palms." He yelled and all of the Hyuga's eyes widened. A mere branch Hyuga had learned the secrets of the main branch. Neji then started to attack Mito in all of her chakra points when he felt his arm go limp. "How does it feel to?" Mito started. "Have your own technique used against you." She finished, face raised, a Sharingan and Byakugan each in one eye, both fully evolved. A Mangekyu Sharingan from a bond ritual, making it an EMS, and a Byakugan. Up in the stands, Minato grimaced. "So she's used her bloodline, huh?" he said. Mito Namikaze. Kekkei Genkei. Sharingan, wood style. Kekkei Tota. Particle style, steam style. Mangekyu ability. Kekkei permanent copy. Koto Amatsukami. Kamui. Susanoo Ii, extra evolution. Affinities. Water, fire, wind, earth. Chakra capacity. 100 100s. Mito then got into the same stance and the Hyugas were all surprised. 8 trigrams. 64 palms. She yelled. She then struck Neji in several chakra points, causing him to lose the ability to use his arms for the time being. She then stared right into his eyes with her Mangekyu Sharingan eye. "Koto Amatsukami," she whispered. Neji smirked, thinking whatever she did hadn't worked. Suddenly Mito gave her a command. "Walk out of the arena," Mito told Neji. Neji started walking out, unable to control himself. He closed his eyes and focused harder than he ever had and yelled, "Kai," causing Neji to be released from the Koto Amatsukami. Minato's eyes widened in surprise, as no one should have been able to break out of that one ultimate genjutsu. Mito just nodded. "Intense focus can stop you, huh?" "Very well then," Mito said. She weaved through hand signs. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but I am going to use this one jutsu," Mito said. "Fire style. Searing migraine," she yelled. Every ninja in the stadium gasped. She was able to use such a high-level jutsu. Naruto grimaced slightly. That high-level jutsu was deadly. Neji sighed. "It appears I was fated to die," he said. Mito sighed and cancelled the jutsu, only to appear with her kunai pressed against Neji's neck. It was then Mito's sixth sense tingled. "Do you have a seal on you?" she asked. Neji took off his headband, showing his caged bird seal. Mito gasped, before stepping forward. "This looks like the Uzumaki prison collar seal," Mito said, recognizing the patterns and kanji chains connecting to a central seal that gave direct access to the mind if the user was gifted the link to the seal. "Here," Mito said. "And Proctor, I give up," Neji said, knowing Mito could have killed him either way. "Anyway, let me help you," Mito said. Naruto then shinned down. "You're slow as hell, I'll just do it." Uzumaki Fuinjutsu Art, Prisoner Seal, Release. Naruto said. Neji's seal glowed bright green, before fading slowly. The Hyugas gasped in surprise. Naruto had just released the seal on Neji, meaning they couldn't control him. "And Neji, remember," Naruto said, about to jump to the stands. "Fate is a sham. You forge your own path," he said. Neji stood there, wondering about his life choices. THSTA all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.